Hello, everyone. We are back. I forgot to mention it. We actually hit the 10th episode last week, so
Oh,
that
wow.
was
Ah,
that was
Nice.
a cool little milestone. All right, we have a
Amazing.
myriad of stuff, a lot of gaming, a lot of TV, and a thing I never thought I would talk about, Taylor Swift. But we'll get to that at the end because I didn't put it on the docket, so I don't know what it's actually about. I might kind of know, but we'll get there when we get there. All right. Everybody's months. Bree, go ahead. How was your month?
well, kind of up and down between like freelance, a funeral last week. So definitely like,
Mm.
oh, I'm making a funny video, and like, oh, yeah, this is like the other like not so fun part of being
What
alive.
happened, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, it just my aunt, she was like sick for a while. It was just
I'm
it
sorry.
wasn't like it's fine. It wasn't like an unexpected thing. It was honestly kind of more a relief that it was over.
Oh,
But yeah, it was. But yeah, it was kind of like haha, I'm making a shit post, and then it's like oh, and then if you can see, I'm trying to pretend that my finger. Where's my finger? Okay, right there. So if you look at the name right there, keeping with my resolution, got first draft of script 4 done.
nice,
So that's been basically my month, more or less.
nice, cool, awesome. Kiona, you have had
Yes, sir.
an eventful month.
One could call it eventful. What did okay, so for the last month and a half I've been moving. And the funny thing was it's such a disaster it turned out to be. So it all started when uh I think I was on this a couple of months ago. Like I missed last month's episode.
Yes.
Just because of the move, and I was in a hotel. So I didn't have good like internet at all. It was horrible. I feel like so lucky right now that I actually have good Wi-Fi and everything is set up and running well. Yeah, so it basically was the part of the roof in our old house caved in, and so we had
Oh.
to, and we had like mold, it turns out.
Did
And so
something
like,
just happen that it all of a sudden went, or did you guys just have
yeah,
something that was kind of a? Oh, okay, got it.
I think it was just like a combination of bad plumbing, bad construction, and rain, because it just happened. Like it rained like all day the day before, and then the next day it just came down. I
Oh, yeah.
saw the roof literally fall down. It was in the adjacent room. And so I'm sitting here using my computer, and I just look out of the corner of my eye, and then all of a sudden I just hear like the roof just go like boom, and I'm just like, oh my god, what the fuck? So
Jesus.
so that happened, and so we ended up moving. Like we're in the same area, the same community, and everything like that. I'm with my parents, so it's a smaller house. The rooms are smaller, but it's a nice house, the new one. I actually like it. I'm in what should be like my office right now. It's kind of like the office room. Um and because of my broken leg, I'm just like staying there. I'm just in a couch right now, so I'm not like the ideal circumstance, but
Wait, how'd you
eventually
break your
things will get
leg?
fixed.
Is it still the knee?
Yeah, it's still the knee. It's still like
Okay,
that whole issue, so that's the
got it.
reason. But like, yeah, so I'm still like, see, the reason why I didn't do a lot of physical therapy is because of the cost of it, and because I don't have insurance right now. And uh essentially it was either get physical therapy or put food on the table, and so I chose food. Because not going to be much use if I'm starving to death. So
That's
um
true.
but yeah, it was just a gigantic clusterfuck, because like we basically moved up the street. It shouldn't have been as tough as it was. Like we should have just been allowed to like just stay there and not go into a hotel and stuff, but we had to do that. We had to like um basically pack up, go to a hotel, initially stay there for 2 weeks. It ended up being a month at that place, and we had to pay for it, of course.
Oh,
We had to pay for movers. The movers broke a lot of stuff, and like like some of our stuff is misplaced. Um and I don't know where it is. It's probably in a box somewhere, honestly. Um, so and then we had this whole thing where we were supposed to move in. The sellers were still here in this house, so we couldn't move our stuff in because they were moving their stuff out still. So that was one thing that delayed us. And then the second thing that delayed us, which was more major, was the fact that we were trying to like wire funds from our credit union back in Hawaii.
Yeah.
We're trying to wire funds to get the closing done, like
Yeah.
it was cash to close.
Yeah.
And essentially the credit union that we use back home, not my choice, by the way, it's my parents' choice. They wanted to do the credit union instead of a bank. I was like, no, we should do a bank, but they didn't listen.
Yeah.
And then it turns out that they would not do a wire transfer unless you were physically there signing the paperwork there. And I'm like, really? Every single other institution that we spoke to was like, that's a crazy rule because you guys are in Florida, they're in Hawaii. Like, they expect you to hop on a plane to go there just to sign a paper.
What the hell?
Apparently, that's what they expected. So they refused to do it. And that delayed us another week. For like a day, we were homeless. I consider us like we were homeless because we had no recourse. We were just like out of everything. We didn't know what to do. Nobody was budging. Nobody was being flexible with us. We were basically just driving around in the car. I'm talking to the agent. The agent's going like, well, I don't know. I got nothing. I'm like sitting there going like, yeah, I got nothing either. I don't know what to tell you. I'm just saying that that's what they don't want to do it. As it turned out, the title company finally, they finally were flexible with us. And they were like, okay, we'll do it this one way. We'll do like a cashier's check. If you guys can get us a cashier's check, we'll do it this one time. And that's not their policy. Their policy for that title company that was working on this house, the new house, they were like, we don't usually do that, but we'll do it for you guys just to help you out of this situation. So they want to do a domestic computer to computer wire transfer, which is more secure. Instead, they had us send out a cashier's check, which was hundreds of thousands of dollars. We had to put it in the mail and overnight it, and it took 2 days. And meanwhile, the whole time we're sitting there like asses clenched because we're like, is this going to get lost in the mail?
No shit.
And it turned out that it did not. Then when it got here,
God, I wouldn't have slept.
I know. I was not getting sleep. I was not getting sleep for like a month and a half in that hotel because it was so uncomfortable, especially for someone that can't really move. And I have like a bum knee and I'm sitting here going like, what the fuck,
Yeah.
So they got the check. It finally got to Florida and they're like, oh, by the way, it's not going to get delivered today. It's going to get delivered tomorrow. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, this is not happening to me. Are you serious? So I called the agent and we're like on the phone with the title company. I'm sitting there looking up where the FedEx drop point is that they can go and like send somebody out there to get the freaking check. Cause I'm like, we got to get out of this hotel and into that house. I'm like, I can't even take this anymore. So I was driven to the point of insanity almost. I almost lost my shit. It was the most stressful thing that I've ever had to deal with. And it was the thing that I fought the most to get through in my entire life. And I was missing like, red streams. I was missing you guys. I could not participate in anything. So I felt like my whole like sanity was just slipping. And I was so stressed out. And then, you know what? They finally got the check. Everything cleared. Other people got out of the house. We finally got done with the movers, even though things are a mess, but still, we're finally in the new house, which is great. Even though nothing is ideal right now, but still, we're still like combing through our stuff and trying to get everything all set up. But, yesterday, after a month and a half, I was finally able to shave. I was rocking like, I cannot do a beard, okay? I can't. I literally have a bald spot here from when I scraped my face off in like fucking high school. That's a whole nother story. But anyway, I cannot grow a beard, and I was growing a beard. I was full on hairy, like Paul Bunyan man, I was just like over this shit. But I was not taking care of myself. And finally, yesterday, I finally took care of myself for the first time in a month. And I was like, holy shit, like this feels so good. Even though it's not perfect, but I'd rather it be this way than me stuck in a hotel room and just like, on an uncomfortable bed, unable to do anything. So I'm grateful that we're kind of over the, we got over the hump basically, and things are evening out a little bit now.
Good to hear, man.
Long story.
Yeah, no, that sounds like a yikes. That was even more complicated than I was hearing.
Yeah, glad to hear it's all
bad.
taken care of.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah. And I didn't tell you guys because I didn't want to keep on harping on it, because I was seriously I was messaging Red the whole time and just telling her oh my God, my life sucks right now. What the fuck is going on?
This would have been one where I'd have been like, no, dude, that actually sucks.
She's sitting there going this is the most absurd thing I've ever heard, because I keep telling her that we're delayed. It was insane. I couldn't believe it.
Well, like you said, at least you're in your place. You're good.
We're over it now. Yeah.
You're not throwing money in a furnace, staying at a freaking hotel.
Yeah, and I'm still sitting here going wait, am I actually in my house right now? Can I set things up? Is this permanent? Because my brain is still catching up to the fact that we're in the house and this is your place.
Good.
I still think that oh my God, I'm still in crisis mode, basically.
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
Be for a while too. It'd be surreal. Yeesh.
Yeah, it's so surreal, but at least we're here now. So I got to keep reminding myself everything is all right. It's gonna settle.
It will get better. Mike.
Yeah.
How was your
Jeez.
Follow that up.
With the exception of the funeral that I had to go to a couple weeks ago. My month's been okay. I think the best thing about the whole thing with my grandmother is pretty much from when she got hospice in January up until the funeral, I've been seeing a lot more of my family from out of town, which is nice. In February, everyone came to celebrate her 88th birthday, which was a lot of fun.
Nice.
As for the job, I've had a couple different paychecks already, which is great.
Good.
And the movies and TV that we'll get to have been keeping me occupied.
Good. For me, Josh Lozano described something that I'm going to use as a coined term from now on, and I did not realize it until he described it to me. Where the hell was it, for the love of God? This is the point where you should have had... where was it? Nanjiani apathy. A thing was described by Keanu Nanjiani about how he was just in a rut about a lot of things emotionally, to where he was even just watching something he loved and hating himself for it. He just couldn't make himself happy.
Ooh.
Not feeling creative and stuff like that, and then just seeing something that was creative and stuff like that. I had been going through that for a while, and I mean a lot longer than I'd like to openly admit, to where it was really getting me in the dumps and I couldn't just explain why. And it got really bad until not too long ago. One of the things that I did as a creative outlet, and part of the thing that for a few years got me in that rut, actually got working on again, and got the other person who I didn't kind of admit who works on it with me just how bad it was kind of getting to me. And we had a long talk about it. He kind of realized that he's it was the one cool thing that we did together. And it was a fan fiction we worked on for 6 years and stopped working on it halfway through it. But we kind of had a talk about finishing through that, because with, I can't remember what else came up, but then X-Men 97, and he finally messaged me. He's like, dude, we need to finish crap that we've worked on. I'm like, I agree. And then I kind of started getting back out and enjoying things. I am 3 episodes away from finishing Megalobox. That is phenomenal.
Ooh, I haven't seen that yet.
The second season's weird. Very weird. They have an overall idea, but how they're going about it, peaks and valleys. First season, phenomenal. First time I've ever seen a person piss blood in an anime. That was...
Oh, shit.
It's a boxing anime, so whatever. It's very real, very very real. But it's an anime that made me feel like I needed to take a shower while I was watching it in a good way.
In a good way.
I beat Rise of the Ronin.
Nice.
It was
I haven't
good.
played it yet. Was good?
It was good. It is the thing where Team Ninja has been making the Noah games that are very gear heavy Souls likes, and this one I was told was more story based and had a more of a mix to not be Souls like and more of like an actually story driven. So I was like, okay, but you have like 5 different weapon types, 6 different weapon styles with each one, where the attacks are all different. And people that don't know this about me, or like in video games, I've talked about it a little bit with Keanu, but recently it used to be games putting bows in everything. Hey, I love that because like I'm not good at it, but I love archery in video games for whatever reason. And then lately, it seems like every game is putting a parry mechanic in their game. I used to freaking hate parry mechanics. Now I love them. Now I want every game to have them. And in Rise of the Ronin, like I said, you have like 5 different weapons and almost like 10 weapon styles with each one. The parry's different for each style for each weapon. And you have
that's cool.
Yeah, and you have to actually like one, I want to say for like a sword, just like one style will be you'll raise the sword up and that'll be your parry. For the next style, you would do a full circle parry and you would have to connect on a certain chunk of the circle in order to make it work. So if you liked the combos in that style, you had to learn its parry, or its parry just didn't work the same as other ones. It was you actually learning the style, and it just worked the same way. It was a lot longer than I thought it would be. It wasn't a looker, but the games that Noah makes, they don't exactly, I want to say, stress too much and then being beautiful. It was still good looking. It wasn't a PS2 game like someone was calling it.
That's Team Ninja, right? That made
Team Ninja. Yep. That made like Noah. And all that. But yeah, I will say the gear got kind of repetitive. You basically only wanted stuff that was in chests where you would get the legendary stuff. They had as many companions in that one game as you got in all 4 of the Mass Effect games combined.
Oh, really?
More than that.
Companions?
Companions that you could take on missions with you. You could take 2 people on a mission per thing, and you had side missions for them also. You got like 12 companions per area.
Wow, they went pretty deep into that.
And I was just like, after what? And like, I would do I'm probably twice that much, because I would go to an area where I already had like 14 companions, and then I would just go to a dojo for a side mission, because one of my old companions that was like a strummer that had gambling problems told me to go check it out. I would beat the mission, talk to 2 named characters, and then both of them were usable companions and side quest givers at the end of it.
Holy shit.
The map just exploded with side missions every single time I did something.
Oh my god.
To where they're like, yeah, a completionist, I looked it up. They're like, a completionist takes about 30 hours to complete. I didn't do all the fire ranges, glider training, horseback, gunfire that you can do, but I did 90% of the side missions and like romance every character I could. You can like be romancing 4 characters all at one time if you want to be a sleazebag. It allows you to be a cheating whatever. So I was just seeing how much I could do. I put 70 hours into that game. I've gotten to the point of where I don't trust people, like reviewers, when they say how long it takes them to do games, because it's just not true. But like when you get good and you understand the fighting in this game, it's unbelievably intense. And like when I say it's realistic, you know, in the old games where like if you hit a lightsaber on someone on accident, it cut them. I performed a parry on a person, and because of the way that they put their blade in and the way that my parry, like the circle parry, I missed their fucking sword and cut their head off. Because that's the way the path of the blade went.
Wow.
So it contacts you, it hits you. It was very realistic. But like, it's just, and it's historical figures. You got to choose the way certain things went, where like your main enemy could be the US at the end, or Britain, or if you were for the Shogunate or against it, you got to choose. And you could just straight up go back and replay missions. They just give you a textbook and it goes, let's jump back, redo this one, and the whole thing can restart again. But I will say the last thing, I was really taken out of it at first because I forgot about this historical figure. The first thing you do, you start out as Veiled Edge, which means you're a pair of twins that are set to always have combat together, and you're paired to always have like offense and be perfect balances. Your first mission as Veiled Edge twins is to go onto the black ships that the Americans have sent and assassinate a bigger figure there. I totally forgot that there was a person who was involved in trades with Japan and like settling over there whose name was Matthew Perry. So all of a sudden I get on the ship to duel this guy and I'm like, what in the friends is... Oh yeah, there actually was a guy named Matthew Perry. The entire time I'm just like channeling his fighting Chandler Bing. But oh yeah, it was something else. Highly suggested. I'm really looking forward to playing Stellar Blade later this week, which I've been told has one of, if not the best parry system in a game that people have ever used. I can't wait. All right, so on to the topics at hand. So we talked a couple of times about Embracer, a company that made a shit ton of purchases in the hopes that at one point they would get, what I want to say, consolidated and bought, and then no one bought them. And now they're starting to sell some of those back off. And 2K, the same people, it's either 2K or Take-Two, that originally that works on Rockstar, bought Gearbox, a company, out away from them for $460 million 3 years after they bought them and hadn't finished a game at all since they bought them. So they just bought it in the game they were working on straight back out to keep working on the game. Nothing happened. It was dumb. Embracer continues to be one of the, and now their CEO went out and went, I've realized I've made some mistakes and I should probably improve on that. And we didn't have an exact plan. All right. On top of not really having a plan, another company, Saber Interactive, who bought themselves out and they're like multiple thousands of employees, is, I'm going to use heavy quotation marks here, supposedly still working on the KOTOR remake, and now supposedly Sony wants nothing to do with it.
Sure, I believe them.
You can't have nice things.
Well, it's a thing they've been working on for forever that has jumped from 3 different companies, and now they're supposedly still working on it, even though like 4 different really trusted industry sources have went, no, you're not. That thing's dead. And now Sony wants nothing to do with it. Really? A game that has been clinically dead 7 times, they don't want to work? This game was announced in the PS5 release event.
Yeah, it was.
And it still doesn't even have a base idea for it yet made. That's 4 years.
I mean, it could be worse. You could be a Metroid fan.
I don't want to talk. Metroid Prime 4 is the biggest lie I've ever heard in my life.
It's a Schrodinger's cat of video games.
Schrodinger's game.
It's so dumb. Ever since the second they announced it, I'm like, that game's not coming out. And it's been through 3 companies now. That game is not coming out. It's
certainly not.
Not
on the Switch.
No.
And Prime 4.
The fact that we got Dread almost secured the fact that we're not getting 4.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, hey, Keanu.
That's a bummer.
You used to play Destiny a lot, right?
Yeah. I was thinking of getting back into it, honestly.
Would you have been excited to hear that Netflix was in talk for a Destiny animated series, but it never got past the scripting stage?
You know, I'm not surprised, and I'm not surprised on both counts.
My face of not being surprised.
So many so many elements of that game cry out for like multimedia. Like there should be a Destiny comic. It should be like an Empire.
I'm
And
shocked there's no comic.
there should be like Cade 6 would make a great anime character. Come on now.
Boy.
Oh my god, if they get Nathan Fillion to voice him, or even if they got like Nolan North to voice him, because he did a good job.
Or Troy Baker.
I mean,
Sure.
yeah. So I mean, like, you know,
anybody.
Right.
Honestly.
I feel like that could make a really great anime. Yeah, it could make a good animated series. It could make a good novel. I had this idea of writing like my own Destiny universe kind of story and making it sort of like a film noir private eye detective thing set in the city. So there would be like, you know, it would have been set in like the last city, and it would have been like about this guardian who's like, you know, was a private eye. Then, you know, just like all of a sudden got raised as a guardian and suddenly was like recognized by people, sort of like what happened with Crow / whatever the hell his name was.
Oh, I understand.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, because people recognized him and knew that he was the guy that killed Cade and all that, and everybody was pissed off at him for a while, and now all of a sudden everybody forgives him. I'm never a fan of that.
Yeah.
But you know, yeah, that's just me. Anyway, Cade's coming back. I'm good. I'm hung up on the Cade thing. It's fine. It is what it is. But you know, like seriously though, they could do so much with Destiny that they haven't done. And I feel like they're just nervous about actually having like a coherent storyline. Like they just want to do like lore dumps everywhere, but they don't want to have like a very from Destiny 1 all the way down to now. I feel like the storyline has been one of the weakest elements of that game. I think they got better as time went on for the most part. I know some people complained about Lightfall.
When it dropped was great.
Yeah. But like, yeah, the story in like vanilla Destiny 2 was kind of interesting, even though they took away all our guns, which I hated. We got most of them back over time, but I mean, it just, yeah, it they could have done a lot more than they ended up doing. And I think that oh, go ahead, Pri.
Oh no, you finish. I just wanted to add on to that at the end.
Okay, I think it just like I think that they've done a good job like developing the story a little bit more, and I feel like with the current sort of idea that they're going into with the final shape and everything, it's kind of interesting. I'm still sad about Lance Reddick not being here, you know, even though Keith David is like the perfect, you know, perfect recast. If you're gonna recast anybody in that role, Keith David's perfect. Mm-hmm. I'm happy Cade 6 is coming back, even if it's just temporary or whatever. I hope that Final Shape does not disappoint, is all I have to say. I know that they have the big update, it's like Into the Light or something is what it's called, so I hope that that's fun to play. I'll probably play it a little bit on stream eventually, just to get back into it, but yeah, that's basically it for me.
And just to kind of add on to that, and here's the thing, and this honestly kind of makes me laugh. You know, lore dump stuff is fine, but the part that I just kind of find ironic is everyone would agree that League of Legends, the game, is basically lore dump the fucking game. I mean, it's not meant to be taken like that seriously, because the idea is that you're on and you're fighting with your characters, and then there's not really a story per se. Yet
Right.
Arcane's arguably one of the most critically acclaimed shows that's come out like in the last 10 years. Mm-hmm. So the fact that, you know, you have something that has more of a substantive, as in it has like an actual story, and you can't make any multimedia out of that, I'm like, huh?
That's the one thing about League of Legends that I always laughed at, and I tell everyone, the actual game is the worst product that they make, in my opinion.
Yeah,
the music is better.
Garbage.
The music is better, and their shows they make from it are better.
Arcane is phenomenal. So great. My God.
But yeah, I agree completely. It's like, we've had this story for forever. We just didn't know how to implement it in the game. We're just like, then maybe you should have made a game with a story in it.
Maybe.
I know it's really easy to just get people to gamble their lives away with skins and all that, but what do we do?
Yeah.
Hey, it's working out for Epic, so.
I just bought another Fortnite skin. I'm sorry. I have a problem.
You're part of the problem. It's your fault.
All right. So, couple of small ones here. One, apparently, a PS5 version of Starfield was worked on for 4 years before it was scrapped by Microsoft.
And you know what? This kind of goes
Uncle
back.
Phil.
This kind of goes back.
We
to
don't want to
talking-
take away already worked on games. We just want new ones moving forward.
Liar. But anyway, we were talking about it before stream started. Honestly, this is kind of like emblematic of like not only like Microsoft's bullshit, but like Sony. For whatever reason, for the PS5 gen, just cannot get their shit together when it comes to like exclusives or like cross games.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one thing that is a problem, and I had this discussion a while ago, and it's game development is the biggest thing that's kicking this in the ass all the way around.
Yeah.
Because does anyone remember the glory days of the PS3 and Xbox 360? I'm going to tell you what we all got in that time period. Uncharted 1 through 3, Batman Arkham 1 through 3, and damn near Arkham Knight, Mass Effect 1 through 3.
Mm-hmm.
We used to be able to get whole trilogies on a console.
Yep.
Now we're lucky if you get one per console generation.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing that everyone's like, well, everyone now, and I'm not saying it's anyone here, bitches if the game's not 200 hours long, runs at 6,000 frames per second, and is a 19 out of 10.
Yeah.
And then also bitches when they don't have that type of game coming out every 2 years.
Yep.
It's one or the other, people. You've come to want these games that take 7 years to come out, but you don't want to let them take 7 years to make them.
Mm-hmm.
And here I am. I'm like a basic bitch, and I'm like, I'm okay if games running like 24 or 30 frames a second, because I don't know. For me, I just feel like anything that's like over that just is kind of like nauseating. Yeah, I just don't like 60 frames. I just personally don't like 60 frames per second. It's just, it strains my eyes. I hate it, but that's more like a personal thing. But yeah, I mean, games are definitely having, you know, longer dev times. Like the budgets are ballooning to basically where, you know, we have games that are costing like hundreds of millions of dollars that are like cannot fail. And
the shitty part is, though, a decent chunk of those make that money back, and then they get the excuse of it worked that time. Like
it'll work forever and ever.
A game I enjoyed, and I believe its budget ballooned because, according to an interview, Brian Intihar said that Sony made them redo the ending of the game, is Spider-Man 2. Apparently, that game costed north of $200 million to make.
Damn.
Now, again, it's sold like 12 million copies by this point and is well in the profit margin.
Yeah.
So it still is making a profit, but there needs to be a point where, and it sounds like the new whatever, at least on there, I don't know what Phil and all them's plan is, because they just want you to have Game Pass and they really don't talk about making new games all that often, is that they want to make some micro games that cost less money that come out more often and some other things to sprinkle on that. I'm fine with that. I can take a fucking Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart every now and then. But like, and also the 60 frames per second thing. And again, we were talking about the PS4 before. Ghost of Tsushima is one of the most graphically beautiful and well-running games I ever played, and it regularly capped at 30. And I never bitched once. And I'm going to be honest with you, outside of the hardcore, we're going to get on the internet and bitch about things while we masturbate to specs for video games, no one notices it. You can't take a regular gamer that buys like 6 games a year and just wants a hobby that's going to go pop that in like, hey, can you tell me if that's 30 or 60? None of them are going to notice, and none of them are going to care. I'm a person that his favorite game for 11 years was Banjo-Tooie. I went back to it yearly and played it. Didn't give a shit. The game needs to play well. I just mentioned Rise of the Ronin. That thing maintained 30 and wasn't exactly a mosaic masterpiece, but it played fun. And that's the last time I checked. That's why I put a video game in my system. Ay.
And here
But,
I am, one of my
We're
favorites
not
is
allowed
Three
to have
Houses,
fun.
and that just like fucking smokes if you don't have an upgraded like memory card on like a Switch. Like,
Mhm.
yes, Three Houses sounds like a Chernobyl like exploding. Like if you try to run that on the Switch, like it's chugging like a
Oh,
bitch
God.
so hard.
Oh my
But
god.
it's one of my favorite games, and half the time it doesn't even like render everything. So I mean, yeah, all the specs and stuff to like actual people who actually game, like, and not just the gamers. You know, none of that shit fucking matters. Like as long as your game doesn't like crash every 5 seconds, I'm like, mission accomplished, boys.
Mm-hmm. And even then, I beat Cyberpunk 4 times before it was in its fixed stage because it was fun to play.
And see, you're a real Marine.
I put my time in. But anyway, so speaking of games that work, so I'm not a big racing game person. Honestly, I haven't liked a racing game a lot since Mario Kart 64. But apparently, a game that had its servers taken away, and this scares me what this might start leading to. Ubisoft is literally deleting games out of people's libraries on Steam. Purchased
That's
games.
not good.
Even though they don't have
Oh,
servers
Ubisoft.
anymore, you shouldn't be allowed to do that, in my opinion, whether that game works or not. And a lot of people in Europe are starting to think that that's lawsuit worthy.
Yeah. I think so.
No, I think so. I mean, to me, that's a class action lawsuit, especially if there wasn't like a notification given. I mean, I'm not sure of like the entire situation, but honestly, if anything's like the worst aspect of modern gaming, it's just that your game can just go poof.
Spec Ops: The Line, is that still delisted?
I believe so.
Because like it's because of a music license, I think, too.
Yeah, because of the stupidest things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they licensed a song and the license ran out, so now it's delisted. Good thing I bought it on Steam though.
Yep.
Yeah,
But,
this is the problem with
just
digital media in general.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's becoming less ownership and more permanent rental.
Right.
And again, I'm going to quote the CEO of Ubisoft. People need to get used to not owning their video games. Like, you need to get used to me not buying them anymore.
What the
from you.
fuck, man?
I just honestly, like, hot take. I mean, this isn't really hot. I think Ubisoft might be the worst.
They're up there, and I hate the fact that they make one of my favorite game series of all time, Far Cry. But I'm going to let you know, if I had to choose a company I was no longer buying video games from, it would be Ubisoft. I'd lose Far Cry, but you know what? It's okay. It really, really is.
You'd lose Giancarlo Esposito.
Hey man, he had a lot of good roles. Except that he was good in that last game. A lot of
He
people
was so
didn't play it,
good. Yeah, he's
but
great in
it's
everything.
great. All right, so I don't know how much it's going to mean to anybody that really gets all that much from Atari, but apparently they resurrected Infogrames as a publishing title, a publishing label again. You know how long it's been since I've heard the name Infogrames?
You know, I was sitting there going like, man, where are all the Infogrames games, man?
I
Bring
know.
back Infogrames.
It keeps you up at night.
This really keeps me up at night, and I'm just sitting here and going like, Infogrames, wonder what happened to them, you know?
Infogrames, God. What franchise? Yeah, let's go through them. Oh, I can tell you right now, I remember 3 of these.
Okay.
The ones, the alongside titles, the biggest titles they have. Civilization, that's one. Falcon, no fucking idea. Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Okay, that's one.
Damn.
We're going to hit the heavy hitters here.
Here we go.
Centipede.
Holy
Centipede? Holy shit.
Missile Command. And Pawn.
Wait a minute. Those are Infogrames? I thought that was Atari the whole time.
Well,
or
because
what are those,
of Atari with
Williams or some shit.
with
you know?
Infogrames.
Williams Bally Midway.
Yeah,
I
the
don't
owner
know.
of Atari, and it's ISA became the owner of Micropause and Atari. So there's like an Atari.
So that's why.
It's a parent company that goes upwards, but it's just.
Is that why those games have been on sale on like the Epic Game Store, or they've been like practically giving them away, like the missile command, centipede things, you know?
Going to imagine. Good Lord.
I'm just like, ooh, old school games. I'll download it.
He sold Humongous Games to its parent company. I didn't know that Infogrames owned Humongous Entertainment.
I mean,
you're the ones that made the Backyard Baseball and Backyard all those games.
Okay. Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. We're getting Infogrames again, right?
Yeah.
Give me my fucking treasure back. Where the fuck is treasure? Give them back to me. Bring them back. Like, where's treasure? They're making like cell phone games or some shit. Bring them back and make them like I need them back. I need good old fashioned. I don't know, like treasure. Just come back to me, treasure. Come back to me. You followed me on Twitter at one point.
Did you ever play? What was it? Lost Planet.
Lost Planet. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was. I want to know, or what was it? It was a game that a company made that looked a lot like a treasure game. That oh shoot, was it Lost Planet? Treasure Planet? Oh, I can't think of what the hell it's called. Two best friends.
Hey, Lost Planet was the Capcom one, right?
Then I'm thinking of the wrong one. Yeah. While we're talking, I will look up what it is. But okay, this will be a little. I need to make sure I have the exact quote here because oh boy, this is a thing. So this is a former president of Blizzard.
Mm-hmm.
I thought about this idea for a while as a player since I've been diving into single-player games lately. When I beat a game, there are some that just leave me in awe of how amazing the experience was. At the end of the game, I often thought, I wish I could give these folks another $10 to $20 because it was worth more than my initial $70. They don't nickel and dime me every second. Games like Horizon, God of War, Red Dead Redemption 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Elden Ring, etc. I know $70 is already a lot, but the option at the end of the game I wish I had sometimes. Some games are that special. I know most will dislike this idea. By the way, I realize we are tired of tipping and everything, but I view this as a different from a pressure of a tip type situation that many face and give feedback on. Now, is that something that you people think is stupid? Or what are we thinking with that? Because I'm going to be honest, there's not many times where I thought, hey, I want to give that company I just paid $70 for this more. Mm-hmm. But there's maybe one or two in my life I could think of where I generally went, that actually changed me a little.
Here's the question. Where is that money going to? Is it
that
going
was the other part.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Is it just going to a president shareholder? Then no. Is each developer going to get 5 cents?
Because if so, is that really going to be worth it?
No, that's a good part of it where I'm just kind of like, I don't exactly know how to say what the purpose of that would be, because like you were saying, where the hell is all the money going?
Mm-hmm.
I don't. Freedom Planet was what I was trying to think of.
Oh, Freedom Planet.
Okay, but
okay, yeah.
As far as again where the money goes, that's what makes it weird. But, and there's a question I was going to ask for all of us here: what would be an honest to God game that if you were going to tip like $5 to $10 on it, what would it be? My two, in all honesty, would have been, or I should say 3, the original Horizon, Ghost of Tsushima, and the original Life is Strange game. I broke down in tears on stream after I finished the original Life is Strange game, after thinking I didn't want to play it because the art style looked stupid for like 2 years. You guys have any that you would even consider doing that for?
Streets of Rage 4.
Okay.
Because I thought that really resurrected the franchise, and now Sega's going to do it themselves, you know? What else?
Yeah, one break.
I gotta think.
All right, you're gonna laugh at my answer, but literally just the Hades devs, because at this point I kind of feel like it's an OnlyFans extension. I kind of feel I'm like, hey, tip, the people,
Amazing.
who do a quality job. It's a service.
That's funny.
Hey, with that art style, I mean, I wouldn't say no to half those characters. I'm
Oh
just
my
saying.
god, have you seen
No.
the new updated Aphrodite art for the beta test that they did of
Oh, dang.
Hades 2? I'm like,
Oh god.
come here, mother.
That's funny.
Mommy. Anyway.
And she would like it too, because she is very much that type.
Oh, hell yeah, she would. Man, I still can't get over Meg in that game. Jesus, that voice.
I mean, it's literally my bisexual struggle to game, because there's too many wives, too many husbandos, and there's probably going to be a couple, non-gender conforming or non-binary characters for Hades too. So I'm like, literally, there's something for everyone.
So when I was doing my stream earlier today, with my best friend Red, and I ended up playing. Have you guys played this Only Cans game?
Only Cans?
What is that?
It's like it's a thing where instead of it being only fans, it's only cans, and it's like cans of soda, and basically they're sitting there and they make like lewd noises when you press like there's this little thing that goes along
that is amazing.
The bottom of the screen, and you have to left click and right click on it at the certain point, and it just starts, and they start going like ooh, and it's just so freaking funny. And then at the end of the thing, when they pop open, they're like oh, like that, and I'm just like, oh my god, that is the funniest shit I've ever heard in my life. I just played it today for the first time. I was dying.
So you're saying it's a game for pro gamers?
It's totally a game for pro gamers. It's harder than you might think too. It's not that easy because it starts going like super fast. But anyway, it's still freaking funny.
That reminds me of, and rest in peace, Rooster Teeth, as it's going away next month. Barbara Dunkelman, one of my favorite people on the planet, is just a pun-obsessed mess. And she made an OnlyFans and just took pictures of fans.
Love it.
And it might have been the funniest I'd laughed at a simple thing in a long time. Because someone went, OnlyFans for Barbara Dunkelman, I'm like, I am not a degenerate, but she's a beautiful woman and she can do what she wants. And someone sent me, she's like, you've got to see Barbara Dunkelman's OnlyFans. I'm like, I understand I would want to see the pictures, but I'm not going to. Like, just trust me. You need to see this. I'm like, God damn it, Barb.
Hilariously funny.
Yeah,
that is the punditry I strive for.
It's fantastic. Barbara Dunkelman is like one of the dream. If I ever, Trevor Collins is a lucky man. That's all I gotta say. She's beautiful, and like it is just my personality in a woman. Pretty much, it's scary. But all right, so we have one last topic, and I'm going to be honest with you. I don't like the descriptor using this word because I felt most people don't understand what the word means anymore, and it's lost all definition. But this latest thing got called woke, and I agree with it. This is the first time in a long time where I agree with it wholesale, because the announcement of this made me want to puke and die. Tomb Raider, the new Tomb Raider, and this, I'm reading this verbatim, Tomb Raider series to escape its colonial past. British adventurer Lara Croft will transition from being a raider of tombs to a seeker of truth, as Evil Hat Productions and Crystal Dynamics seek to redefine the Tomb Raider series in order to escape a history wounded by colonialism, according to an excerpt from the official Tomb Raider Shadows of Truth RPG rulebook. Raiding, as depicted in the original Tomb Raider games and stories, involves going into ancient tombs and historical sites of different civilizations and acquiring artifacts. They spelled artifacts wrong. That's a great one. It operates on assumptions of finders keepers that grants raiders with the means and drive to claim ownership over artifacts, regardless of whether they're not they have any historical or cultural claim to the treasure. Later games released in the franchise have started to the work of addressing this by having Lara Croft acknowledging her past mistakes and trying to understand and show respect for cultures and communities she shows contact with. They didn't do that in the past game. She showed it with her being a murderer, but she also worked to reform raider cultures and raise awareness of her peers. Lara no longer decorates her mantle with mystic artifacts. The ending of Shadow the Tomb Raider is literally a giant dresser filled with artifacts. As a raider, she prioritizes seeking out truth. Much of these games is inspired by her humanity and struggle with heroism and her tenacity. We believe that all three of these aspects are important components in creating a game that celebrates history and culture while acknowledging the respect and work required to live in a world wounded by colonialism. In this game, we seek to continue in that work alongside Crystal Dynamics by creating a sandbox where you'll tell stories, address colonialist themes in play, and create your own stories in respect and support for the people of cultures your seekers encounter.
But what does that mean?
Fucking gag me. They don't like the fact that she has the word Tomb Raider as a title because it strikes up colonialism.
First of all, who could...
What else are you calling it?
I'm like, I don't know, that explanation just sounded very British to me. Like, that's, the excuse the British Museum has to justify keeping the shit that they've stolen.
What does that mean exactly? Seeker of truth? What are they talking about?
Means now she goes to find things and then keep them there. It sounds like she goes into a tomb to go, that's what that means. And then leave.
I don't know. To me, Seeker of Truth just
she does it already.
Yeah, she does that.
No, Seeker of Truth sounds like she was at the Capitol in January.
Oh, Jesus.
No.
It's a name. What changes? This helps nothing. All these past games.
I don't even understand what that's going to be about. Like, what are you even going to do in this game then?
We're going to take a quick second. Anyone who listens to these podcasts and is a streamer, I'm about to address something that is the biggest annoyance I've ever seen while podcasting in my entire life.
Oh, God, here we are.
This here. These are fake. If you ever get these, they don't help you. They want to scam you out of money. And as you can tell, broken English, and it literally stops halfway through a sentence on the end. Never believe any of this horse shit because it's lies.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
And boot.
Yeah. So anyway, actually, Keanu, you have Mothership powers on my channel.
Yes, I do. I'm getting there.
I forgot you had that. But anyway, yeah, this whole statement just made them go, like, why? Why?
Well, at this point, I'm like, you're not addressing the issue. Like, no one had, like, yeah, the colonialism stuff, it's bad, but, like, no one specifically said that it was her title. Like, that's not what the fucking issue is here.
Also,
yeah.
Okay, so then we're going to shut down every national museum ever? They didn't get on those shelves by accident. No fairy popped them in there.
I don't know. I'm thoroughly... That just leaves me really confused. I liked the last trilogy of the Tomb Raider games.
They were fantastic.
I thought that they were great.
Absolutely.
But, like, I never looked at it as, like, oh, okay, we got to fix this, like it's a character flaw in Lara or something. Yeah. Like, I don't even...
Well, I mean,
what are you going to do in these games?
I mean, if you want to do that, someone stole something and she's, like, raiding it to bring it back to the people. I'm like, I don't understand, like, this specific thing. I'm like...
9 times out of 10, it's an artifact that is causing a problem for the people it's there for. The last one, she literally stopped the sun apocalypse because a dagger was evil.
Yeah, and you have all of these like supernatural elements that are in the games too. So it's like, what are they? what exactly? It's fiction.
My favorite part though is I saw this and directly commenting underneath it, someone's like, "We have one of those already, thank you." And she uses a bow too, and it was just a picture of Aloy because her literal title is Seeker, and it's to go out in the world and find the truth about it. I'm like, so what are we doing? All right. For what I just got out of our conversations a little bit before the podcast started, Bree might have a little bit to say on this, but Keanu, Wrestlemania happened.
It sure did.
What are your thoughts? What did you like? Favorite matches?
Well, it's all kind of a blur to me because I was in the hotel at the time, but I'll give you like my generalized thoughts here. I thought that overall the build up to this WrestleMania was excellent. I think that they did a really good job, and I think that you could tell by all this new era talk, like definitely things are certainly changing for WWE. And I could not be more happy about that. I think that it's about time. Holy crap, I'm so glad that we got Mr. Piece of Trash out of there.
There's rumors that he wants to start his own new...
That's what I heard. I heard that too.
I hope he does. God, I hope he does, just to watch it crash and burn.
It's gonna burn. It's gonna burn. I think that WWE looks great. Like even just the look of the shows is so much better now. There's a sense of I mean, there's a sense of excitement. There's a sense of urgency to it. Much better than it was. Like it's still, some things could be better still, but in terms of the actual presentation and everything, I think things are so much better. Triple H has really grown as a person. I feel like he's so much more mature, and like he's so much just he's doing such a great job at writing the ship and everything. It's so good. You know, this is what happens when you put a wrestler who actually understands wrestling in charge of a wrestling show. Like, this is what happens when that happens, you know, who actually has a good grasp of how to control the show and how to do creative things. I really like it. I thought WrestleMania was great. I loved, I know we've had our thing about The Rock in the past, but like, I loved his entrance in night one. I thought that entrance was amazing.
Yeah.
The final boss thing has been excellent. So I think the tag match with him and Roman spearing him was excellent, by the way. That was so fun.
Reaction was
that whole reaction and everything. Paul Heyman going into the Hall of Fame right before WrestleMania was awesome. I loved Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins opening up night 2 was a great moment. The craziness of those entrances was awesome. I love the fact that Drew won. Drew McIntyre is such a great heel, by the way.
Yes.
Seth Rollins' reaction.
Do you know what he did in the middle of that match?
What did he do?
So, do you remember when his wife and his brother were the two people that were...
Yeah, they were...
When he grabbed the phone, what he did was he grabbed his phone, went on Twitter, went, "Bored at work, lol," and tweeted it, and then kept wrestling. Drew McIntyre's the fucking best.
He's so great. He's doing such a fantastic job, man. As the shit heel who's just sitting there and he's just like complaining all the time.
Don't shoot up my skirt, you pervert. Shoot up my kilt, you pervert.
You can tell he's just enjoying this character. He's having fun. And then of course, you know, the aftermath of the match with him just going up into CM Punk's face and just putting the belt in his face, and then all of a sudden Punk just like turning around on him and costing him his belt 5 minutes after he won it. I mean, that was so brilliant. What a turn.
The best part about that, you know how they had like the press conference-y type of deals where they're like beforehand where they had them talking?
Yes.
When Seth and Drew were talking, and this is the first where I watched both nights like live in a while, and I had my buddy Eric over, who I watched wrestling with in high school. When Punk came out to talk with those two, he had his brace off.
Yes.
And I turned to Eric, I'm like, is he healed? He's like, no, I probably forgot to put it on. I'm like, no, he didn't forget to put on his medically needed wrist brace when he was injured a month after coming in. He's healed. He's like, oh, we'll see. And then the second he clocked him and started ripping that brace off, and he was on commentary, I'm like, I fucking knew it.
That was great. I have the thing of it is that is blurring the lines for me so well of like it being reality versus an actual like a work because of just the way that there's so much animosity there. But you know what the thing of it is? It's almost like all these guys that are working with Punk, like Seth, Drew, everybody that's working with Punk, it's almost like they're pointing at the Young Bucks and going like, fuck you to them. Because it's like, these guys don't like CM Punk for whatever reason. They're working with him and they're bringing in bank.
Yeah, they know they're going to get paid.
That's the thing that the Young Bucks could have done and should have done. Even Kenny Omega was like, dude, me and Punk respect each other. I don't know. Like he even said that on like one of his streams playing games, playing Street Fighter 6, by the way. Good job, Kenny. Yes. Street Fighter 6 is a good game. Yeah, but like that was such a highlight for me. Damian Priest just running out there and cashing in the money, the briefcase, and winning the championship was so great. Oh man, that was great. And then Punk just basically fucking Drew over with the next night on Raw. That was great too. I just love that feud. That feud is so great. Him and Drew are they're doing an amazing job working together.
Punk is really
regardless of if there's an actual hatred there, like they're putting it on the side and they're working together, they're making money. Good for them. So what else was night 2? I would say like it was Rhea, right? Rhea and Becky.
No, Rhea and Becky opened night 1.
Or was that night 1?
That
was a good match though.
Because I believe Io and Bailey were night 2.
Yeah, Io and Bailey. You're right. You're right. That was also a good match, by the way. Bailey winning is so well deserved. I think Bailey's great.
Yes. Absolutely. Should have put her on the
and of course,
posters.
Man, like who I'm not. I still have a little bit of an issue with is LA Knight. I'm not completely sold.
Really?
I like him. I don't like dislike him at all, but I just think that I'm not completely sold on him yet, and I don't know why.
Okay.
But he did a good job with AJ Styles and him. They had a good match.
Yeah.
What did you guys think of Jay and Jimmy Uso?
I hated that
match.
It was the worst match of the night by far.
It wasn't very good.
They had 4 total moves the entire night. And I had someone comment, it's a street fight. What you want them to do? Throw a punch. That would have been different. They super kicked each other 26 times, did 2 spears, a Samoan drop, and that was the entire match.
I'm like, come on, you're fucking your Philly. At least, like, do something. I'm like, I've seen, like, more guys and, like, right down the street in South Philly, like, get into fights.
Blew my mind. I'm sitting there with Eric. I'm like, we're in the, like, have they done? And he's like, did a Samoan drop, a spear. I think you might have hip tossed him. Like, what's going on?
I like them more as a tag team. Do you think that they're going to reunite after the whole thing that happened with Tamatonga?
What's going to happen, in my opinion? I believe they can both wrestle well, but I think it becomes more aware of how much they have a similar moveset when you put them in a match against each other.
Yeah.
That was not a great idea to have it be more of a fight where they just super kicked each other 18 times. But what I think is going to happen is he's going to get back with Jimmy, and Jay are going to be a tag team because Jay is way too over as a babyface. He's doing too well to where he can't go back to just being a tag team wrestler. Jimmy's probably going to stay that, and then they tagged up him right now, but it's going to end up being, and I've been waiting for this because it's going to be just him, but as a babyface now. 6 months or so down the line, when we get to War Games, wherever they have it, there's going to be something where The Rock, Solo, Jimmy, and Jacob Fatu and Tama are beating the ever-living shit out of the Usos, and you're going to hear Roman's music hit, and he's going to get a hero's welcome and be up there for biggest babyface in the company right alongside Cody. And I can't wait for it just to be babyface Roman and him still just talking shit to people. Just being a little bit more of getting used to not being a dirtbag so much. Kind of edgy. I should have done that, but kind of thing. But then you're going to get War Games where it's like possibly, okay, let's say Rock, because Solo batted Jimmy down because losing's not tolerated. Who lost at WrestleMania? Roman did. Who
Roman.
doesn't have all the titles in there because they lost? Roman did. Solo's being made to be the big dude, and he's going to start referring to The Rock as the tribal chief and not him, because The Rock's the high chief, which is one step above tribal chief if you looked at their little tree. So what's going to happen is it's going to end up being Rock, Solo, Tama, Jacob, and maybe someone else against what I'm assuming is going to be Roman, Jimmy, Jay, and would be really cool if they did it, the honorary Uso, Sammy, to come back in on the other end of that, where they're like, you need another whatever, and then all of a sudden Roman just goes, we might not have another official Uso, but we have an honorary one, and then Sammy's fucking music hits, that building would fucking implode.
Oh my god, that would go crazy, man.
So
speaking of Sammy,
you
just reminded me, Sammy and Gunther. That was a good match. That was a very good match.
And then
I kind of
Gunther to go for a world title now.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the upside of that, is that Gunther can now go for the world title, or at least, hopefully maybe tee him up.
666 days.
By the way, metal.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Gunther is amazing. Yeah.
I think he's got a good shot to win King of the Ring.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. But yeah, that was a lot, man. And the only thing I will say it was weird on the night, because they mentioned the pay discrepancies that made it whatever. I was so happy that main event turned into an overbooked mess, because that's what I wanted. I was having heart palpitations in my living room. I knew the shit was gonna happen. I knew the shit was gonna happen, and I was still freaking the fuck out. The only thing I will say though, and I want to see if Mike, you don't really watch wrestling, so I don't know if this is gonna affect you much. So the previous night with Rock, Roman, Cody, and Seth, it was great. Loved everything about it. The Rock was actually training well, because he didn't get gassed in 30 seconds like he has.
No, he didn't. He actually did a really good job in the match. Yeah.
Being a tag match helped him quite a bit, because he was staying back. It helped a lot.
Yes.
But the entire match, he was making it so that the ref couldn't count.
Yeah.
He was making it so that they could hit him with chairs, all this other stuff. So that match was just bloodline rules. Already.
Basically, yes.
So I'm like, okay, I don't understand what we're fighting for in the next night, because you could have just came out and went, hey, I decided to make this bloodline rules because you're the big. They went a little hard on that in the first one, to where it kind of made it dumb that they needed to make this match stipulation.
Yeah.
And even more to the fact of where, again, follow me here, it was 20 minutes in that match before someone interfered.
Yeah.
Tell me what sense it makes for a bloodline rules match where anything can happen and anyone can interfere, where Roman didn't come down to the ring with 16 heels and fucking murder Cody. And also,
because that would have been too easy.
Where Cody didn't come out with the entire locker room and murder Roman. That's from, like, I'm leaning to my buddy. We're having headlocks and it's bloodline rules? No one's even grabbed a chair. What are we doing? But eventually, when Jimmy came out, I'm like, all right, now the shenanigans are going to start, and I'm happy. Jimmy comes out, spears him off the stage. I'm like, okay. Let's see what you all actually do here. And then after Solo and them hit that shit and John Cena's music hit, I'm like, okay.
Oh my God.
We're actually dipping into the piggy bank for this match. What the hell are we going to do? And then when The Rock is getting ready to whip him.
Yep.
And I'm telling you, I am gripping the edge of my couch. I am more white than I already am, which is hard to accomplish. And I'm waiting. I'm like, if that glass shatters, I'm going to come clean out of the window of my house. But then the gong hit, and I went, okay, I'm still pretty fucking hyped right now. And then, like, the rush came back over me. I'm like, we're getting the fucking Undertaker? And then he came out in street clothes and gave him a very good choke slam. That was
really good choke slam.
And then someone explained it to me, and I'm like, okay, you know what? The Undertaker actually makes a shockingly large amount of sense. Stone Cold would have literally just been, he has issues with The Rock and nobody else.
Mhm.
And then this is, again, wrestling headcanon, whatever. But
Mhm.
follow the tracks on this. Who ended the Undertaker streak?
Rock.
Cool. Who was the only other guy that beat him at WrestleMania?
The only other guy. Oh,
Roman.
Roman.
Who are
Yeah.
both of them managed by?
You're right. You're right. Heyman.
Paul Heyman. Who has been the ultimate test, head of the locker room, you fuck around with me and you find out person for like 30 years?
Taker.
Who has been spouting their mouth off that they're the final boss of WWE for 2 months?
I see where you're going now.
The Rock. Who fucked around and found out at the end of that match that he wasn't? The Rock. I was like, that was a last minute decision, but it makes a shockingly large amount of sense.
Did you see the press conference after night one where somebody asked him that? And somebody's like, are there going to be any surprises in night two? And The Rock sitting there like, he's like, I realize you had to try and ask me that. Final boss ain't going to give you any answers, except there will be.
There will be. Duh. Why do you think we did this in the first place? The only reason we had the first match was to do the second one. But yeah, it was really good.
That was great. That was such
great.
A ridiculous main event, but it was awesome. And it just, like, that WrestleMania was so good, I think, overall. Just
It's legit one of
overall
the
a
best.
banger of a WrestleMania. It was great.
One question.
And Stephanie McMahon coming out at night two, by the way.
That was good.
to
Apparently
introduce
she's
it.
back from how Triple H talked. She's like back involved with the company again.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah. Now, question. This was a complaint I saw people do on Twitter, and I kind of get why they said it. Last year's stage was fucking massive.
Yeah, it was.
Everyone said that this stage seemed kind of small, and it looked
Kind
awkward
of.
how small it was. And I think the problem was the actual stage itself was tiny, but I think what made it look small is you basically just had a giant X and an L and nothing else on stage.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. There was that one botch where like what was it, like the Catch Republic came out, the new Catch Republic
And
came
they
out,
never
and it was like
changed their
they didn't change the Awesome Truth background, like the Jumbotron.
Yeah. I'm quite happy that they separated those titles, by the way. I figured they were doing that when they announced at the beginning of the match. I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Can I ask you
Go ahead.
Can I ask you this?
Did you see belts?
No. Did you see like that whole thing where Triple H and Adam Pearce were like presenting it to Truth and the Miz the next night?
Yeah.
And Truth is like calling Triple H Tommaso Ciampa and everything.
There's been a lot of things where like he was at NXT and like it was on Twitter where you can only see Truth's face and he was talking into a room and he's in a hallway and he's talking to Johnny Gargano and he's just like, I see a lot of Shawn Michaels in you. I just want you to know that. And then the camera pans and he's talking to Shawn Michaels.
Oh my God.
Our Truth is a fucking national treasure.
He is. But I thought like he made Triple H break so badly. And then I thought that Triple H was going to kill him at the end though.
Oh, I thought he was
too. God, he's getting so irritated.
Yeah. I've warmed up a little bit on the Raw tag titles. They look a little bit too much like the world title just with some red lettering slapped on it for my liking. But those SmackDown tag titles.
Oh, yes. Perfect.
Beautiful.
So much better, though. It's so much better than the penny and nickel titles or whatever.
Oh, absolutely. Like, I got the idea of the Roman helmets. Didn't mind that. They could have been the
didn't mind that.
Something else, though.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no, the WrestleMania... It was great. It restored my faith in like actually liking to watch it. Like I've been actively watching it weekly again, and I haven't done that in probably a decade. I've been just listening to Simon Miller's ups and downs. That's all I did for the longest time, and now I actually sit back and watch it. Thank you, YouTube TV. I don't need to have cable because of you.
Nice.
I'm so sorry that we were talking so much, but
no.
Go ahead.
I mean, the only other take that I have that really hasn't already been said is. I'm so glad it was in Philly because I definitely felt like, having that and the link definitely added to the vibe and the fact that The Rock has like a local connection to the area. He's not from Philly, but he was from like the general area.
Hey, question. Did you watch it live?
I watched use parts of it live. I saw the parts of Kelsey and Lane.
That's what I was gonna ask.
That was
Philadelphia National Treasure. Lane's cool too.
I'm sitting there watching, and my friend, who is not a sports fan by any stretch of the imagination, these people, like Dominic gets jumped, and I'm looking at these people, and I'm like, I know that build and that beard anywhere. That's fucking Jason Kelsey. But then I'm like, that other guy's way too big to be Travis Kelsey.
I love that, like, everybody's sitting there going like, oh my god, these are like the biggest luchadors we've ever seen.
And of course, within minutes, Jason had to be in stage with his shirt off, just flexing his heart.
Dude, Jason Kelsey is the better of the two Kelseys. I'm so sorry. He really is, though.
I mean, you're not wrong.
I'll never fucking forget Jason Kelsey getting fucking trashed off his ass when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, just dressed up in a full Mummers outfit.
Yes. Yes.
Or when he was in the box for the Chiefs game, when he jumped out and like got the opposite team's face and then hopped back into the box. All while you see Kylie Kelsey just going like, oh.
One of the moments that gave me so much joy. Also, Snoop Dogg was fired on commentary and everything. He was so freaking funny. That match that like with who was it, like the Street Profits?
Oh, and the Pride. When I tell people that you don't understand wrestling, when I can watch a match and this gets a pop.
Yes. Bully Ray. Yes. Bubba Ray. Yes. Yes. I know, I was dying. I was laughing so hard.
Also, when Karrion Kross just broke the table for being late on it.
Yes. And Snoop Dogg sitting there like, man, that's grandma's table, man. Why are you breaking that table?
And there's videos on Twitter where they like have a desk cam and Pat McAfee's fucking laughing his ass off.
Yeah, I don't know. Whoever paired him and Snoop together, I'm like, give them all the fucking money.
And all the weed.
Well, he has it already.
He has it already. That's true. Oh man.
Okay.
But I was gonna say too, one of the things that gave me so much joy, because I'm a 49ers fan. So like Bailey winning, and also the fact that when they announced George Kittle being in the crowd and everybody booed him, I died laughing. I was like, that is the greatest like non-verbal heel promo I have ever seen.
Oh yeah. Did you guys like what I want to say? I didn't mind the advertisements on the outside of the ring. Did you guys like the fact there was a big giant Prime bottle in the middle of the ring the entire match?
God.
Not an actual Prime bottle, Mike. One printed on the floor.
Yeah, no, I figured as much, but still,
I don't mind the stuff out of the ring. I don't think I need to see like a Snickers bar in the middle of the ring when we're having matches. I get it.
Not.
Yeah, no, that's tacky.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't actively bother me all that much, but it was still like
there's points where it's like Cody doing his meaningful like thanking and kissing the ring on a fucking Prime bottle. Like, can you not have that?
Yeah,
that's true.
No, we could do without that.
He had to deal with the fucking rubber chicken last year. We don't need the fucking Prime bottle in the middle of the ring now. All right.
Speaking of Prime bottles that got their asses kicked, Randy Orton.
Yes.
Killing the guy.
That whole match where he came back, Kevin picked up Randy in the fucking cart. And then the whole entire match, you're like, he pushed me. It wasn't me. You pushed him? Okay, got it. And they're like taking turns beating the fuck out of Logan. Any other wrestling thoughts?
Mike just looks in the corner like confused. I'm like, Mike. I'm barely there, but I'm
Don't
like,
worry. We're on to everything else
along.
I had to get some wrestling in there. All right. So for our next subject, I have to bring up something where this might have been the most, easy to see thing to ever happen, but I'm going to play a little video, and all I'm going to say is, I fucking called it. Now that we know, and I've talked with Zane about this, I believe I've talked to you about this, but I said it as a prediction, I'm pretty sure, in our first Sonic review, and I am saying it now. Paramount, you nailed it with Idris Elba as Knuckles. get Keanu Reeves to be Shadow. That was during our
Holy
Sonic
shit,
2
dude.
review.
What?
Pay me, Paramount! Pay me!
That's amazing that you called
That is amazing.
Anyone, thoughts on Shadow being casted as fucking Keanu Reeves?
It makes too much sense. I mean, I know they have the Hayden Christensen stuff going on now, which I'm like, nice idea, but I'm like, I don't know if that screams like Shadow the Hedgehog, but I'm like, that this is the most edgelordiest shit they could have possibly think of. I'm like, it's already winner, just written all over on it.
You know,
Where else do you go after voicing Johnny Silverhand?
you just go up from there. I mean,
You just go to
exactly.
Shadow the Hedgehog, man. That's like
funny. You had John
natural
Wick.
progression.
You had John Wick, which in that movie, you had an actively large amount of people witness a small puppy get murdered and then cheer for a man to kill large amounts of people. Now, in Shadow lore, he sees a small little girl get murdered and then goes on to try and kill a bunch of people. I don't think they're going to show that on screen, but I'm saying just the parallels are kind of awesome.
Question: Do you think we're going to see her in the movie?
I saw a comment from the director where he said this movie is heavily based on Sonic Adventure 2.
Okay.
Okay.
So, if I'm remembering correctly, she dies in the Shadow game and not in Sonic 2.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I'm remembering correctly. Because that's Robotnik's niece.
Yes,
if
I
I'm
think.
remembering correctly. Yes, but yeah. But no, that's that what I can't wait for the trailer. I just can't wait.
By the way, Friday is the release of that six-part Knuckles series.
Yes. Can't wait. Oh, I can't wait. Carrie Elwes is in that. I didn't notice it until I saw a picture.
That's crazy.
And he's got I don't remember what it was, but it's a stupid name.
It can't be as stupid as this fucking Oogie Loves character.
You brought that up again. I forgot, and I can never escape it.
I think it's like Bobby Bubbles, and he's like very much playing it like he needs to stay 500 feet away from his school.
Hey, do you know why Michael Jackson can't go near school? Because he's dead. Anyway, next subject. So, I'm not sure who put this in there, but I'm going to assume it was Mike. Quick thoughts on Shogun and Invincible? I've not seen either, so anyone wants to talk about it, go nuts.
Can we get?
That was you?
I saw Shogun. Okay, so
Okay.
me and Mike can talk about this.
Okay.
So how many awards do we think it's gonna get?
All of them.
That is the correct answer.
But if you want to get
before you guys go on, hold on. He just brought up something, and I need to know. Who do you want if she shows up to voice Rouge?
Ooh.
I this isn't going to be right, but I could just in my brain seeing the seductual big-titted bat being voiced by Scarlett Johansson.
I knew you were going to.
I was going to say Scarlett Johansson. That was about it.
You know, now I'm hearing
Same.
it. I'm like, oh, what? That makes too much sense.
It really does.
Anyway, I had to get your fan casting on that. Go back to Shogun. Go ahead.
So your question of how many awards? All of them, but to be specific, you're definitely going to get one for Hiroyuki Sanada. You're definitely going to get one for Cosmo Jarvis. Pretty much all the female supporting actors are going to be nominated.
Yeah, I mean, Anna Sawai was already in the MonsterVerse show, which is surprisingly like really good. So I'm like, she was already kind of bubbling under the surface, but after this, she's gonna be like everywhere in the next year. Like you can book it right now.
Yeah, this was easily her breakout role, and she is incredible.
And you know what? I kind of appreciate this, and this is actually a hot take that's actually kind of hot. Ironically enough, the comparisons are there, but I felt like this was the anti Game of Thrones, and let me just explain like what I mean by that. So what I mean by that is it never questioned the. Yes, she's my wife too. Just kidding. So what I mean by that is that it didn't discount the audience's intelligence. It didn't try to rush. Everything felt natural, and most importantly, it knew when to quit. And that literally they ran out of books, and then they were like, "No, we're good." The only thing I kind of hope that maybe happens down the line is they adapt Clavel's like semi sort of kind of sequel to Shogun, which is Gaijin, which takes place like 200 years later in the 1800s in Japan, and it has some descendants of Shogun characters, but it's not like a traditional sequel in that sense. But honestly, everything is just perfect. I mean, it's been very well promoted, and it, like literally, like it's been kind of inescapable for like promotion for the last 2 months, and like the memes. Which, if you had told me like 3 months ago that this was the show that was going to get memed, I wouldn't have believed you. But I remember seeing this one post where John is like doing like the S symbol in like the Zen garden. You know, the super S that everyone knows.
Oh god.
Yep.
But no, this is great, and like all of them are really, I feel like, are gonna blow up in the last year and a half. It's kind of hard to talk about the show without spoiling it. I mean, even though the book's like 50 years old, and it's, you know, other than it having a more focus on the Japanese side of things, like it's fairly, I would say, fairly faithful to the original novels. Probably more so than the original mini TV movie.
Yeah, I never actually saw the original, but I know it has its fan base.
Mm-hmm.
One
I
thing
saw
that
it years ago, the original miniseries.
Yeah, in 1980.
One thing that I really like about this show, especially the finale, is how they didn't go bigger with it. They actually went smaller. Not to spoil anything, but a lot of what I loved about the finale is they had a lot of intimate character moments, and you don't really see that often with shows in this genre. Usually they go for like the big battle or other like huge moments. Like there were some great fight sequences throughout the series, and Mariko gets a great sequence in the finale, but it's like what you were saying about this being the opposite of Game of Thrones. I see that now.
And I think the other thing too, I just mildly lost my, oh no, there's my train of thought again, is that the callbacks like actually connected. Like this was a story told by people who cared.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, you know, I know it's not that FX and Hulu like haven't made good shows in like the last like 10 years or so, but for me, this is kind of like, I feel like the first time where that level of prestige really kind of connected on like a bigger level. Because if you see like some of the numbers, like the premiere on like just like the Hulu, I'm not sure if they included live airings. I think this is just like over the Hulu airings and VOD over like a week. Like 9 million views. I mean, what else on like, you know, basic cable is getting like those kind of numbers?
Yeah, that's a good point. And also the fact that pretty soon after this show premiered, Hulu and Disney Plus merged, which
yeah, like
probably
literally
helped.
anytime. Yeah, literally anytime you see a Disney or Hulu Plus ad, there's Shogun right in the middle.
So it's getting a lot of exposure, which is nice.
Speaking of those two merging, Gurren Lagann is on Hulu and on Disney Plus. Does that mean Nia and Yoko are Disney princesses?
They
Sure.
can be. Which, by the way,
And Ryuko, Satsuki, and Mako, because Kill la Kill's on it too.
Oh yeah, it's been on it too. Honestly, because I was in like the beta for it, I'm like, I made it no secret, I fucking hate Hulu's UI. Like some people like it, but if you try to do it on like a smart TV, it is fucking hell.
Yes,
It is
it is.
hell on earth. And the fact that you can just do it right through inside the Disney Plus UI, which I like it. I know it's not everyone's favorite, but I'm like, I feel like it's an equipment issue, and not having to like to try to get like the subtitles on or whatever. I mean, I wish the Hulu stuff was like the regular Disney Plus shows where just to change the language, you just have to go up and boop. And I think the fact that like for anime specifically, sub and dub are like like separate like titles, but I'm like that's like more an integration thing, which I think at some point they'll probably fix. But it's just
hopefully.
so much more enjoyable experience for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I kind of agree with that. Disney Plus out of the two had the better UI. It's still not perfect, but I will take that over Hulu's any day.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, if you don't got any more to say on that, so you all
Please
talk,
watch Shogun.
you all
And also watch Invincible because season 2 is excellent. Cameron and I talked about that on our next episode of animation,
Nice.
and we had a lot of good things to say about it. We also had a lot of things to say about, you know, the people who were complaining about the hiatus between the two parts, because of course people got to complain about everything.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, it can derail it for certain things. Like it did kind of murder the hype for JoJo with how Netflix was handling it.
Oh God,
Mm.
I'm like, yeah, that is still like the most egregious shit like I've ever seen in my life.
It's not great.
And I hope to God that, you know, if Part 7 is inevitably made, that they don't fucking get their hands on it, or they do what they did with Delicious in Dungeon and have it weekly, because I'm sorry, that shit was fucking ridiculous.
Yes, it was. I agree with you 100%. It drove me freaking insane. All right. Anyway, y'all were talking about two incredibly great shows, but I'm going to talk to you about some real cinema that I got the chance to watch
dear.
an actual masterpiece. So, masterpieces look like Madam Web. Oh, don't worry. I got you something that looks like Madam Web. Me and a couple, it's no like strange thing that I've become a giant fan of Attack on Titan. It like jumped into like top 10 at least, maybe top 5 animes of all time, maybe like top 5 shows of all time. And
Also, it's top 10 anime for me.
Yeah. My roommate's sister-in-law, who's a good friend of mine, Alexa, also really likes Attack on Titan. And then we're like, you know what? And she's like, when you finish, and I finished watching the last one because she had the last movie left. She's like, we should really watch the live action.
Oh God.
And then we were supposed to have a game night at my house, and a bunch of people got sick, so then only us showed up. And I'm like, you know, I can rent it on Amazon for like $3.
Oh shit.
And then I did, and I've never been unintentionally racist in my entire life up until this point, but I'm going to lay down some rules to make sure I explain this correctly so I don't sound weird. In the original Attack on Titan, there was only 3 main and shown Asian characters in the entire show. Mikasa's mom, Mikasa, and Lady Azumabito. One gets killed in the episode she debuts in. Mikasa, who's there for the whole show. And then Lady Azumabito is only there for like 6 total episodes in the final whatever. How they mentioned that last
Final season 2, part 1. You cannot end the show.
Anyway, so, and it's a problem I didn't realize I was going to have until we watched it. I realized, oh, wait. This whole movie is Japanese actors. I don't know who fucking anyone is. Anyone. Off the jump, I couldn't even have told you the difference between Armin and Eren when they were standing next to each other.
That's a problem.
They casted people that outside of their height looked identical. And we're not like, okay, we're just gonna get with like plot points of how bad this got. You know how like it starts with Aaron and he's sleeping by the tree. What is one of the just thinks we all look alike? Let's not start that train. Anyway, so you know he's sleeping by a tree. Mike, this is a spoiler, but what is the big reveal that happens when Aaron finally gets into the cellar and opens his dad's book? That it's a photograph. And how that is space age technology to them, because like outside of the maneuver gear, which is the iceberg stone, they don't have guns. They don't have any modern technology on the island. Aaron is not sleeping next to a tree when the show starts. He is sleeping next to a crashed World War II fighter plane. Full with Bikini Girl on the side of it. They have guns on the other side, and only the specialty people that were in the guard for whatever for hunting Kenny's group was the only one that had actual guns. They had cannons. Otherwise, it was just them using the blades. And then you see the wall. The wall is just chunks of metal like plastered together, and a fucking Black Hawk helicopter is crashed into it.
What?
And they have military Humvees for their transport vehicles.
What the heck? Who made that?
Yes, that's the one group I'm talking about. Literally only them. Levi's group had them. That was it.
And then Brock, I already know like the part. I'm not sure if you're gonna bring this up, but I can guess the part that you absolutely lost your shit.
I haven't watched the second part yet, but what are you gonna say?
I think it might happen in the second part.
Well,
I'm not sure.
Just wait, we'll get there. But anyway, so then he gets this like the whole even the scarf doesn't even get to it right away. He gives it to her afterwards, after like right before she gets squashed. Aaron's mom isn't even in the show, doesn't show up. She doesn't get eaten to start him going where he wants to go.
Oh, what?
And the zombies and the fucking Titan spread basically works like a zombie bite from what I can understand. Because to start the show, the inciting incident is him thinking Mikasa died.
Yeah.
And then they show her later on, and she's got a bite from a Titan that is this big. It just takes up the side of her ribs. That's it. That's all it is. And it's got like gnaw marks like a Resident Evil bite. And all of them get training, and they show that the training only happens with the Survey Corps and all of them. And by the way,
so weird.
The main government wears like Nazi-ish, communist, Japanese like war uniforms. It's insane. This is straight up, we rewrote the plot levels of shit.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
All them get trained, and then they finally go outside, and Mikasa is just out there training with a guy who's supposed to be Levi, but they changed it so he wasn't Levi, just so they could make him and Mikasa a couple.
Oh yeah, the weird love triangle shit.
And they change a bunch of characters just to make new characters. Like John, Armin, and Aaron are like the only three people outside of Hanji that are in the original group.
What?
And Hanji is now Hans.
Huh?
Because her name wasn't everything that wasn't Japanese got changed to be Japanese, except parts that were Japanese, and they changed them. Like Shiganshina is a different name. It's a different Japanese name.
Well, I think the thing with Hanji, I think in some merchandise, they are known as like Hans. It just kind of depends. I think it's just like one of those weird things. It's either Hanji or Hans. Well, like it's not very consistent.
That's the first I've watched it subbed and dubbed. That was the only time I ever saw it.
No, it's just in like the merch. I'm gonna see if I could.
But oh, I lied. Sasha is there.
Okay, Sasha.
The only reason I knew it was Sasha is because there's 5 people in the group. All of them have shoulder length black hair that is in a ponytail, and I literally only knew it was Sasha because she was eating a potato. Couldn't have told, and the only reason I knew the one was Hanji is because she had goggles on. I couldn't have told you otherwise. She looks younger than Aaron.
This is weird.
And then they go outside where people have been living because no one gets to go outside. And Mikasa has full scout training, but she was never with the scouts. And she's addressed as the lady on the hill that they've heard about being this ultimate Titan Slayer.
Oh yeah, so here's the thing, Link. Sometimes Hanji's romanticized as like Hans. Sometimes it's a weird thing that happens when because you have non-English speakers trying to say like English names.
But and then they go shockingly, the Titans, like how they operate and all that thing, actually look kind of okay. A lot of them have like they wear skin body sacks, so like you actually see like fake boobs and like fake guts that make them look more disgusting than the actual Titans originally were. But you go out and then to introduce, it starts with an N because his name's no longer Levi or Ackerman or anything. He's just a new character that's up. It's basically Rorschach, where he gets a literal Wrestlemania entrance that no one sees except for the camera and Mikasa, where they're getting attacked by Titans, and then randomly he is just doing kata with his fucking paring blades, and then sets them in, and Mikasa comes up, puts a scout hoodie on him, and then the fucking moon shines on him. He gives a weird look to the camera. There's a red eye glint, and then he walks out to kill a Titan, and then talk to them how they're the worst amount of scouts he's ever seen. It's fucking wild. They literally rewrote almost the entire show. It's kind of terrifying. And then
I don't even know what to make of that.
We watched that and we're going on, and then we're like, okay, well, we can watch the second part. And then we're like, okay, it's available on Amazon, but it's not available in the United States. So then we sit there and we go, oh, we're not even going to be able to watch it. Whatever. And then I'm like, and then everyone goes, well, Brock, you are a masochist for this stuff. You did watch that movie and you enjoy watching things like Zombie Croc. After a while, you should know when to take a break. I'm not saying I bought it just so we could see how this pile of shit ended. But I might have bought it so we could see how this pile of shit ends. And we're going to keep in mind here, this is from Funimation, but this is still just a DVD because there's no way this was getting a Blu-ray. That's the whole crew there. If I showed you this, would you be able to tell me who any of them are?
No.
Like
maybe the guy in front's Aaron.
Yeah, and like you can tell Mikasa because she's got the scarf, and then Hanji because she has goggles.
All right.
It's not great.
Okay, I'm trying not to spoil this because I just don't want to subject myself to them. Did you get to the part with the baby?
Yeah. There's just randomly in a house.
Let me just post the link to it.
A baby, a adolescent, like 3-month-old Titan. Just in rafters, fucking giggling.
Oh, jeez.
It's the most terrifying thing that's ever been a part of Attack on Titan.
Oh my god.
I have the link to it, and
that's nightmare fuel.
And they get out of the truck and they just walk into it, and all they hear is and then just see
that's
this
like the part in Resident Evil Village, man.
Like in a rafter of
Well, here's the thing. I'm like, to me, like, it's like everything that I've seen and like heard about these movies is that like, this would be kind of good if it was a Resident Evil movie, but this isn't Attack on Titan.
It's not.
Oh my god, that's so frightening. I gotta see it again.
Oh, you barely get this. You got the tip of the iceberg.
That is so frightening.
It is.
Nightmare fuel.
Oh
That's
my
putting it-
god.
With just the
That's
soulless eyes.
Yes.
Should we put up on the screen? Because I'm not...
Yeah,
Oh.
sure. Oh God, can you
That's so
give me the
frightening.
actual? Because I need to.
I have it right in the
Oh,
chat.
I know. I
found
know.
the shittiest
Thi-
resolution
This is gonna
possible.
be this is gonna be really tiny, everyone. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see this, but this looks like what I told the people. It looked like if Sid from Toy Story was a child with his adult head.
Scarily accurate.
I don't even know if they're gonna be able to see this.
That's so frightening.
That is
That is so frightening.
soulless.
Nope.
Oh, yeah.
Ugh.
But so anyway, I just had to tell you about the masterpiece of cinema.
Yes, please.
And I'll up.
I mean, the only saving grace is Shiro Sagasu of Evangelion and Bleach doing the soundtrack.
The music's not bad, and the actual 3D maneuver gear work looks cool.
Yeah,
I can say
yeah.
that much. The part I thought would look the worst actually looked okay.
Hmm.
But so we'll jump one subject because it kind of matches with anime. And I don't know who put the exclamation points and everything after it, but so this confession comes from Stephanie Stein as the Kung Fu 4 Panda co-director, did a Q&A on Discord with fans. When she was asked about the shift in America's taste for animation, Stein said they love to see more serious stories animated, but executives in Hollywood are still at a loss. I freaking love it, especially since so many audiences these days have grown up on more mature stories everywhere. I think it's in most bookstores, for example, manga and anime sections take up a majority of the floor, but there's a catch. A lot of people in charge of finances of making a movie that think that audiences don't like these kinds of stories.
Yeah, that was me. I put in those question marks. I'm like, another example of studio executives not fully understanding what audiences want, because they say things like this.
Mm-hmm.
And also the other thing is, I'm like, that's like such a crock of shit, because you know what was one of the highest grossing movies in like the middle of the fucking pandemic? Demon Slayer.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
I'm like,
True.
yeah, I mean that made, I think, like close to like 100 million here.
Something like that.
That's a good amount. Yeah.
It did.
I don't know what they're. I don't get it. I never got it. I was just kind of like, what are we even talking? How do you not get it?
And if we're talking specifically of Western animation, like one of the biggest opening weekends of last year was Across the Spider-Verse. I mean, okay, fine. It's Spider-Man. It's Marvel. Of course, it was going to do well. But if we're talking about animation and taking the medium seriously, yeah, that's a good example right there.
I mean, that wasn't even like necessarily a guarantee. I mean, yeah, Spider-Verse had built up goodwill, but I think a lot of people conveniently forget that the first movie like didn't do like that great financially. It didn't really start picking up until it hit Netflix.
Yeah, that's true, but like I think it did okay, but it was so well received critically and won the Oscar for Best Animated Feature that's what inspired its success.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's one of those things where now I'm wondering if there's like, well, I wonder if we just make really rushed movies. Like, I wonder if there's some executive going, they don't like this stuff. Do you remember when we made Dragon Ball Evolution? They fucking hated it. Like,
To be fair, like Dragon Ball
Love that
Evolution
voice,
in
by the way.
hindsight was probably the best thing that could have ever happened to Dragon Ball.
yeah, you did get Super because of that.
Yeah.
All right. a slight tangent that we had to go on, and I had to get it on my phone because I couldn't find it otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
I like this director, but this comment made me want to kick him in the face. Zack Snyder's comments on why he's excited about the DCU. If the characters are treated with reverence and are mythologically correct, then I'm down.
Sorry. I had to laugh at that because
This is the same guy who went, yeah, but then they tell me that Batman doesn't kill. That made me want to make him kill even more.
You mean the guy who made Dollar Store Star Wars?
Snyder, I love you, but
we have Star Wars at home.
Yeah, and he's bringing up like, yeah, and in like the original like 3 comics of Batman, he shot someone. I'm like, yeah, the version that no one knows and or cares about, and not the one that made it famous.
Yeah, and also it's like 100 years old.
Yeah. I'm like, you openly talk about how you made these characters do things they weren't supposed to lifen them up. You said with your own mouth that you didn't make them canonically accurate.
Yeah.
Here's my thing with Snyder. Like, he does have, like, genuinely is good ideas. Like, he definitely has a very definitive aesthetic.
Yes.
However, I know he's not the one who's in charge of all the writing, but guy just keeps writing the same fucking story again and fucking again and fucking again.
Yep. Agree.
Putting visuals on a screen, he's very good at.
Yeah.
Whether they cohesively go together is a different story.
You know,
Sucker Punch is beautiful. But
I don't even hate Sucker Punch as much as other people do.
No, and I don't either.
Like,
but I'm not going to tell anyone that
like
it's
not
an Oscar.
Yeah.
And also, oh my god, did you see that one clip on like Twitter of like all the slow-mo with the I can't believe it's not a lightsaber?
Yes.
I was like,
now you got me thinking of Fabio just saying that.
Yeah.
Honestly, I wish Fabio was in Rebel Mood.
Lightsaber.
Yeah.
If Fabio was in Rebel Mood, that probably would have made it watchable, at least get like above 20% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Honestly.
I don't know about you.
And then he could get hit with a bird or some shit. Like just randomly, just like by bird.
If anyone watched my a Game Awards stream, Keanu was very excited to watch the trailer for Rebel Moon. He was
so excited. You could feel you just feel the excitement. I was like, why the fuck are they even doing this during a Game Awards stream? Like, I don't need to know.
Because
I'm not
Netflix gave them a lot of money. And
yeah,
you know,
they gave them money. I know. It's a sponsored segment. I know.
And I guess for whatever reason, well, we know half of you are racist, so probably half of you are Snyder fans too. So there might be like an overlapping Venn diagram.
Ouch.
And like,
do you guys remember when I got suckered into that whole like Snyder Cut cult thing because of like it turned out that like the comic shop guy, the guy that ran the comic shop near me in Florida was actually into the Snyder Cut stuff, and so I became friends with him, and all of a sudden I'm like friends with like a whole bunch of Snyder Cut people, and I'm just like getting drawn into that on Twitter, and I'm like, I don't even like. It's not my thing.
That's like Gwen, who's one of the biggest Zack Snyder fans ever. She's like, I want nothing to do with this shit anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of Snyder, did I ever tell you that this Zack Snyder Superman movie, which I can't even fucking remember. All I just think of in my for some reason I just call it Superman Begins because
that's pretty much
accurate.
But anyway, it almost ruined Christmas in my house.
Why?
I think I remember the story.
Okay, so here's the abridged version. I guess me and my dad were at Redbox. We were yelling, okay, let's pick a movie for Christmas Eve. He's like, oh, Superman. You know, I'm a guy in like, you know, my late 50s, early 60s. Let's watch a Superman movie.
Oh, dear.
And then, just to give some other context, my dad, he played baseball in college, so like his hearing's like a little from like all that, so he's like uber sensitive to sounds. When the fight with Zod happens, he was like, because we had everything on like Bose and everything, I thought he was going to die. Like, and then it like started like this huge argument, and everyone was like so pissed off of each other. There might have been booze involved as well. And then my mom threatened to cancel Christmas.
Ooh.
Wow.
So that's kind of my Snyder villain origin story.
That's funny. That's funny.
I mean,
I will say I am looking forward to Twilight of the Gods, which is his new animated series that he's doing.
Oh yeah, his animated stuff's fine.
Ooh, that sounds good. Yeah. Yeah.
That does look good. All right. So,
oh man,
I didn't know about this story until
That's
it
funny.
literally came up on Twitter. But so I don't know much about this guy, but again, I just kind of had to look into this because it sounded really funny and I got the ass end of it. So, the Batman came out. I loved it personally. So, the film was met with some cynicism from one Christopher Wozniak, a screenwriter and former freelance artist for DC Comics in 1990s, who sued director Matt Reeves and Warner Brothers for plagiarism of a script he wrote called The Ultimate Riddle, later retitled The Blind Man's Hat. Now, the verdict has decided, and it worked out very poorly for the plaintiff.
Oh,
The U.S. District Judge Paul Engelmayer has decided in a final ruling at Warner Brothers that Matt Reeves did not steal the plot from Christopher Myers' screenplay or from Christopher Wozniak's screenplay, The Ultimate Riddle. In fact, the judge went so far to say that Wozniak had actually infringed on copyrights belonging to DC Comics, saying his script liberally exploits indeed is rife with Batman characters and plot elements.
you know, my brain is so fried.
He got Uno reversed in court.
He did. My brain is so fried right now that I almost thought you were going to say U.S. District Court Judge Paul Heyman.
Nice. Oh, God. The story's use of Batman characters and the surrounding protected elements is an act of clear and blatant copyright infringement. The federal judge further extrapolated that similar themes like serial killers who are loners bent on destroying society, villains who taunt pursuers with clues and riddles, and the moments of clarity and epiphany that propel villains to crime are too common to justify a copyright claim, going as far as to compare the ultimate riddle to Anakin Skywalker becoming Darth Vader. Wozniak's lawyer, Terry Parker, said they respectfully disagree with the court's decision
I'm sure you do.
and are considering their next steps.
Oh, wow.
You can't
That's
have
brilliant.
next steps after that. After that, you're
brilliant.
Yeah.
That is so funny.
Yeah, first of all, I thought, I mean, I'm not like the biggest Batman expert, but isn't the Batman based a lot on Year One and like the Long Halloween?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like there were elements too of like a little bit of Cataclysm, sort of in a way.
No. No. Shoot, it's a story that Cassandra Cain gets introduced in.
Oh, No Man's Land.
No Man's Land. Thank you.
Man's
Yeah,
Land.
where the city gets split apart.
Yeah.
Kinda at the end there. Yeah.
Yeah. Which Dark Knight Rises also had some elements of No Man's Land.
Absolutely.
But like, yeah, so like just the way that and I still have this theory that like, you know, at that the last sort of big action sequence where he's fighting all the guys, he's fighting all of Riddler's guys in the stadium or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And like he injects himself with something, right?
Like
that kind of gets him like an adrenaline rush and stuff like that. Yeah. I have this theory that that's Venom.
I actually think so too. Like a prototype of Venom.
Yeah, it's like he's developed this sort of thing that will give him like the extra push that he needs if he's ever in that situation, and it's Venom because that's how Venom gets introduced in the comics. Is Batman takes it.
Mm-hmm. Could be.
So I was thinking like maybe they're leading up to some kind of Bane thing, which I would not mind. Bane, I think, would be a good villain in this.
It could be, but I don't need Bane for a third time.
No,
the
I
love
know.
of God, I need new
Yeah,
Batman villains.
that's the
I was
thing.
irritated at fucking enough when we had Joker at the end.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I hear you.
But they're gonna do whatever. They're gonna do whatever. Just
My one thing about that
Ugh.
movie, though, my one thing about that movie that almost made it a parody of itself to me was just the fact that everybody's so whispery throughout the whole movie. Every time Gordon came into a scene, he's like, Jesus.
yeah. Well,
And I don't know why that bothered me so much, but it's just like, I mean, it made me laugh. And it kind of
Oh.
took me out of the moment. And I was just, I don't
both
know.
previous versions of Batman were rather loud.
True. True. But I mean, it's just, I don't know. It messed with me a little bit. That's
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right.
I didn't love it as much as other people did, but I will say that there's potential. There's potential. I wish that they had kind of I want to see like a Batman that is the Dark Knight, but also I mean that is like the Dark Knight detective as he is portrayed in the comics is what I mean, not like another version of Dark Knight.
Yeah.
But what I want to see is something like that, but also something that that incorporates more of the comic booky elements and isn't ashamed of it. Like have
you want
Mr. Freeze,
a James Gunn version of him.
Basically. Yes, that's
Yes.
why I'm grateful that James
Yes.
Gunn is in charge. Thankfully,
Yes.
I can't wait for Brave and the Bold. I think he's gonna be great.
Same.
But
Absolutely.
like, yeah, I mean, I want there to be like have the comic book elements. Don't be ashamed of that, but also be like a serious Batman. You know,
find that nice middle ground where
find a good middle ground. Yeah, find a good middle ground because
the
not
problem
everything
with
has
that
to be...
is keeping some of those in and having it in real life without making him look like a child endangerer. And all that.
Yeah, no. That's like
it's hard
that's
to
another
do.
issue. That's another issue. Yeah. No, I mean I wouldn't do that with like Robin or anything. Like I would definitely make it so that Robin is not like a little kid and he's putting him in like harm's way to get shot every night. But like, you know, within reason, of course, within the bounds of reason. But like I would still like to see, you know, I would like to see a Mr. Freeze and I would like to see I don't know.
That's
I just
another
think
thing, though. I could
it'd be
see Mr.
interesting.
Freeze in Reeves movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
That
feel
is
like you
one
would
I
do.
could see.
Yeah, I could.
I
Yeah,
could
I
see
could
that.
see you do Freeze as like. I mean, they did use Penguin like fairly, grounded. Like I could definitely see like a grounded version of Mr. Freeze.
I like that version of Penguin. I like the whole
that version of
gangster
Penguin
version of
was
Penguin
great.
too, which is cool. So
I also loved how they just put 17 tons of prosthetics on him to make him look like Rupert Friend because you know we just not gonna hire him. I was just like, what in the? I saw the pictures and I'm like, that's just he has scars, but that's just him.
To quote one Jorge Gutierrez, Hollywood.
Yeah.
Yep.
But hey, if you would have gave me a million guesses and whoever made that casting choice is like, we want to pay we want the Penguin in this movie, Colin Farrell. What?
what was that scene? Oh, the funniest bit in that whole movie that actually did make me laugh for real was
When they're
Thumb
interrogating
Drive.
him under the bridge.
Yeah, Thumb Drive. That
Thumb
was
Drive.
great.
That was the funniest, like perfect deadpan delivery too, and I just loved it. Yeah, that was great.
I was like, wait, these movies can be funny?
Yeah, yeah.
News to
The world's
me.
greatest detective here, Rada rap with three, like ta. Bitching at him under the bridge. Oh, it was great.
That was great too.
But I know a lot of people like the Tumblr. I know a lot of people like the other Batmobiles. So do I. But I was never as genuinely scared of the fucking Batmobile as I was.
I know this.
I
mean, yes, because it's the Batmobile. The Batman's a Dodge Charger, right?
Yeah, in this it is. Yeah.
I say, and I hear it rev. I'm like,
they made that car a character in this movie.
And in Dolby,
love
it's
that.
awesome.
Oh yeah, I bet.
And then when he was just laughing, I got him, and you see that fucking thing coming over the flames, he's shut.
Oh my god! When I saw the trailer and then actually seeing the theater, like I actually like lost my shit. I mean, honest to God, that might be the coolest Batmobile scene for any of the live action Batman films.
Coolness of it. That one.
I still like the '89 one,
Yeah,
but that's just me.
No, I don't think any of them are bad. I just really like that new one. All right. So, Keanu, you mentioned a thing that was quiet. We're going to go with something that was also very quiet. Did anyone else watch Godzilla X Kong?
I did.
Oh, I did not.
Yeah,
And
I've
I
been
liked
meaning
it.
to. Yeah,
I
I
really
heard
liked
it was great for what I've seen of it so far, and like the memes. I'm like, I'm glad we live in a universe where we have two wildly different versions of Godzilla.
I didn't see -1 yet. I really want to see that. I have
Ooh,
to see it.
-1 is so
Yeah, I didn't see
good.
that.
-1's coming to Amazon now, isn't it? Did I see that right?
Okay,
well,
cool.
well, I think also since Japan and the US have the same Blu-ray region, I'm like, if you're feeling spicy, you could just import the Blu-ray. But I really hope they give like an American release
And
at
Yeah,
some
also,
point here.
I love how much that people just see something in a trailer and assume one thing, and then it shows in the movie it's the exact fucking opposite. You know the scene that everyone was bitching about in the trailer where it shows Godzilla running away from something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In
Yes.
the trailer, it is literally Godzilla or Kong jumping on Godzilla as they charge at the main enemy. It's
That's
the
cool.
exact fucking opposite of what everyone thought the trailer was.
Well, yeah, because
Well,
trailers.
first of all,
are not
Godzilla
meant
don't
to-
run from shit.
No.
That's right. Yeah, what
You-
the hell?
God, it was just, and there is a scene in there where they use like anti-gravity and some other things, and it's just, oh, it's beautiful.
And Dan Stevens, like
Dan Stevens.
Dan Stevens is having a year.
There's
Him
not-
and Catherine Newton,
I don't-
both great in Abigail.
Yeah,
by the
I
way,
don't mean to have a spoiler here, but a part of the plot while we're kind of waiting for stuff to happen is Kong comes up because he's in pain. He has like he got like cracked in the mouth and he has an infected tooth. So they need to like repair it. And Dan Stevens has a
God.
whole fucking scene just coming in, just being Dan Stevens and replacing this fucking tooth, ripping it out and doing all this shit. It's fucking great. Dan Stevens is awesome.
Dan
I mean,
Stevens,
honestly, let Adam Wingard just make Monsterverse movies forever. I feel like he's found his calling in life.
He
he,
has.
he
I think
has.
so. I
And
think
the money
so.
they make, he's going to keep making.
Yep.
Although
Yeah.
he's probably gonna get to Thundercats first.
I forgot about that.
Oh wait, he's making a Thundercats movie?
It's not officially greenlit yet, but he's been talking about it. He's like actively working on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
I'm kind of
It's
curious
something.
about that one.
all right. So
Can we talk about X-Men 97 a little bit?
Well, if it's about today's episode, then no, because I haven't watched it.
No, not today's episode. Not just
Oh.
in general. Just in general.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Because the only thing that I want to say is I think X-Men 97 is the best thing that's ever been produced for Disney Plus.
I think
I was-
if you're talking about just Marvel, honestly, yes.
That's what I was having.
I was-
I had this discussion with Mike where we were like 2 episodes in, and I'm like, okay, I could safely say this is the best thing that Marvel has done since No Way Home. And this is well, I said, first of all, on the first episode, literally on the first episode, I said this is the best series they've done on Disney Plus.
Yeah,
Then
I think for me
the next
personally.
thing happened, it was the best thing that Marvel's done, period. No Way Home.
Yeah.
And then we got to episode 5, and I went, we need to start having discussions about how this might be the best thing Marvel's done.
Yes.
And honestly,
so
I
good.
feel like, ever since Marvel officially got the rights back to X-Men, this is honestly the best way they could have reintroduced them.
Oh,
Yeah.
easily.
Absolutely.
It is unreal the sheer amount of shit that they pack in episodes, and it doesn't feel rushed.
Nope.
Yeah. I know.
Episode 5 is one of the best single episodes of TV anything I've ever watched.
Dude, did you get the Krakoa era vibes out of that thing? Because even that was Genosha, and I was thinking like that could have been the Hellfire Gala.
They had a good chunk of them there. Sebastian Shaw and Emma Frost were there buddying it up.
Yeah. I'm sure
And-
that was the intention too. To
It was
there
like, and
visually.
they aren't fucking around. They killed Sebastian Shaw in that scene.
I know.
They killed a good amount of people there, and I just did this.
That ending line, man, like Storm at the end of episode 2 made me tear up, and Rogue made me tear up at the end of episode 5.
That whole thing, like, that just messed me up. I'm like, both my husbands gone in a
This
flash.
is
Right.
this is the episode 5. Like they've been showing adult things very much so, but they had Madeline Pryor being the kinetically cheating scumbag instead of Emma Frost. You're more of a whore than Emma Frost in a scene. You're trying. Just gonna point that out there. And the fact that we actually got to see Savage Land, showing that they literally had a connection because they could touch. And then now you actually got to show her see the whole thing where she had an actual breakdown crying with Gambit about how she needs physical touch. And that Gambit's like, whatever, you do you. I'm not upset. We're just friends now. We're being adults. And then within seconds of being out in public and kissing Magneto, she goes, Gambit was right. I don't give a shit if I never touch Gambit again. Love is more than just this. This used to be a child's cartoon.
I know.
I mean, this show is like a very hard TV-14, which I kind of figured it, maybe it'd be like TV PG, but I'm like, no, it is like bordering on like TV MA at points.
There is. I thought for moments when all this shit was happening, that there was looking for a moment where Magneto was going to like turn heel again and do whatever. And when he sits there with Leech and tells him in German, don't be afraid, and then boom.
I said this in our review, but again, for the Dragon Ball fans, that was Vegeta's sacrifice.
Yeah. And then twice now they made me cry with the same line. There was a post on Twitter that just had a out of context picture of Scarlet Witch and an out of context picture of Rogue.
Oh, I know the one
And
you're
all
talking
it
about.
said on top was, I can't feel you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you fuckers brought that line back. And I don't know. You're going to have to try hard. You're not going to get a better sacrifice moment than Gambit being stabbed and saying, the name's Gambit, mon ami. Remember it. And kinetically charging fucking Mother Sentinel through its stab wound and exploding it. Holy shit. And they showed a small teaser of the next episode. Hey Jacob.
Hey Jacob.
Hey Jacob.
I'm ready to see Rogue murk some fools.
I've only seen a clip of the new episode yet. I'm not gonna spoil it, but
yeah, I saw it. I'm not spoiling it.
Yeah.
All I have to say is it was a very good birthday present for me.
Yeah.
Thank you, Marvel.
Oh.
And X-Men 2017.
Yeah.
I watched it.
It's good.
What did you guys think of last week's though? Also, with the
it.
return of a certain character
I liked it.
out there with the
Shi'ar.
Shi'ar.
Couple.
Yeah.
That
was cool.
I told Mike I thought I was watching a different show when the episode started.
That's what I thought too. I thought it was like, I was so confused when they opened it up in Shi'ar, and I was like, oh, okay, this is interesting. And Deathbird.
I'm like, okay, Genosha just exploded. They're gonna deal with that in the next episode. Spacecrafts.
Nope.
What the actual shit are we?
And Storm,
Gladiator, and the Kree, and Deathbird.
And Storm is back.
Yeah, I will say, I'm glad Stella got her groove back. All that.
Me too.
And
me too.
that they brought back her claustrophobia. Don't worry, child. I will create a snowstorm. But you fuckers took Mohawk Storm away.
I know.
Rip.
She looks like a majestic queen of a woman. I get it. But damn it, I miss Mohawk Storm.
But still, you can have Mohawk and have her be regal, I think. Regal Mohawk. Come on. Hashtag that.
They're getting the... You want to know what sucks about this? Because that is the Queen of Wakanda Storm look. And we're never getting that. Unless they go ballsy and only have Black Panther be in the X-Men cartoon. But she seems
As
like
much-
she's in love with Forge, so that wasn't in comics.
I love her in Forge. I love her in Black Panther. I've also always had a soft spot for her in Logan.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah,
forgot.
I get it.
I've always had a kind of a soft spot for that because I've always thought that like these two respect each other so much and they have such a deep bond, and I think that that could definitely lead to like a bit of a romance there. I know that everybody is like, oh, Logan and Jean or Logan and whoever, but like, I don't know. There's a really like I think that in this episode, when you guys watch it, I won't spoil anything, but there's a couple of moments that I really, really loved. That's all I'll say.
Absolutely.
And Keanu, without spoiling anything major, but there were things that happened in this episode that kind of gives me hope that we will have an expanded 90s Marvelverse.
Yeah.
There's
I know what you're talking
stopping
about.
them
Yeah.
from doing it. There really isn't.
I hope so.
The old writer of Spider-Man TES went, I'm not busy. So he literally tweeted it out, y'all, if you want to talk, I'm right here.
Oh man, they should do it though.
And you'll get to watch Spider-Man with Madam Web chasing down the real Mary Jane. Did we forget that that's how the old show ended?
Yep.
Hydro Man
that's right,
was Mary Jane, and she's
right.
somewhere. Spider Carnage.
You know what I'd love to see make a comeback, and this is such a long shot, it'll never happen.
X-Force.
Do you guys remember that? Do you guys remember
Fantastic
that
War cartoon.
that MTV Spider-Man cartoon? The one that
God.
Yes, I remember
yeah.
You don't like that one? Okay.
I was
that's
not
okay.
a fan of that.
I liked it. I ended up really liking it.
What, you don't like Neil Patrick Harris, Peter Parker?
Oh, he was amazing.
I just didn't like. Neil Patrick Harris was fine, but the feel of the show I just didn't like.
I liked the show. I thought it was fun. But anyway.
I mean, it's very much an early 2000s, like, a la Animatrix. Like, it's very much, like, screams, like, 2002, 2003.
It'll never happen anyway, Brock, so don't worry. But, like,
I know.
But still.
Hey, you could bring back Iron Man.
Kind of
too.
enjoy it.
You remember when, no, I can't think of it. Uncle Phil was was War Machine.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody forgets about that. They had a 90s Iron Man cartoon, and
That's right. That's right.
Oh, I can't think of the actor's name.
James Avery.
James Avery, thank you.
James Avery.
Yeah. Because there's a classic scene from the Spider-Man cartoon where he goes back and J. Jonah Jameson was like trying to get his mask off, and War Machine was like, "Try me." But anyway, speaking of more X-Men, what's likely going to be my movie of the year got its first official trailer. And I'll tell you now, writers in Hollywood, unless you want to take a deep breath through your fucking forehead, I suggest you reconsider, is the new threat to top. There is none at this moment that come close. I'm sorry.
The gun barrel.
Just nothing. And then Logan leaning his head in like, I hope it works.
The gun barrel saying, smiling, wait for the flash, and then Logan just putting his head against the forehead against the gun and smiling.
I don't know what it is about how they could put any song in a Deadpool trailer and it just works.
Having Like a Prayer by Madonna, that was such a choice because I was actually listening to it a few months ago. I was like, you know what? That would really be a kick-ass action scene if they ever got the license for that. And I was like, well, I guess I was right.
Yeah. And then we had a lot of shit going on in this. There's going to be a lot of Old Man Logan in this movie, more than there was in Logan.
So much.
There's a whole lot of dead X-Men there in those tombs, I'm going to assume. And in the original one, if they actually show Jake Gyllenhaal in this movie, make Wolverine think everyone else was evil and he kills the rest of them. Because, like, I didn't know this. I should say I didn't remember this. I've read a decent amount of the Old Man Logan. You're obviously not going to have, inbred Hulks. We might. I don't know. It's not called Hulk, so they can put what they want in it. I love everyone watching this. How the amount of people covering this trailer that missed this blows my mind. They have the head open, and they're like, the helmet of Scott Lang is there, but we don't know for sure if the actual body's in there. I'm like, his fucking teeth are right there in his skull. Did y'all watch the giant set of teeth behind Cassandra Nova's head?
I started noticing it more like after the 10th or 11th time watching it in that trailer.
Also, in the trailer, for a split second, they just show the whole body.
Mm-hmm.
It's there. But yeah, and the amount, this is going to be, the fact that they did this one scene is making me think that this is going to be the most, you have to actually have a fucking magnifying glass to spot shit. Everyone, look it up on TikTok, whatever. The fight choreography between Deadpool and Wolverine is an exact copy of Flash versus Peter from the first Spider-Man movie.
Yes.
To a T.
They matched it.
That might be the most hidden in plain sight reference ever in a movie.
Well done.
That's crazy.
Because I never would have thought of that. Like, who are the people getting paid to look at? Well, I happen to have watched Spider-Man yesterday, so that made sense. And then you get the head, and standing outside of it was, and these are all the ones that I can make sense of, Lady Deathstrike.
Yes.
Ray Park's Toad. Azazel. Callisto from X-Men 3.
Dude.
And from the looks of it, Caliban, and maybe their dumb knockoff version of Psylocke that could teleport.
Oh, from X-Men 3?
Yeah. The one random lady that just had a purple stripe in her hair?
The purple streak,
that was Psylocke.
That was Psylocke, yeah, I remember.
And you get Cassandra Nova, who I didn't know shit about, and I looked her up.
Oh, really?
Convoluted doesn't even begin to describe.
Yes. Xavier's twin.
That he tried to kill in the womb. That there is like an Indian tribal alien myth behind it, if you look into it.
Yep. Grant Morrison, man.
Yep.
And then part of it gets stuck on a fucking wall for like 12 years. It just... It's so weird. It's so weird.
Did you read Morrison's run on New X-Men back in the day?
I haven't,
but I want to now.
Same.
Yeah. I read some of it, and I remember not being a fan because Grant Morrison back then was like too much for my little brain to handle. But now I'm like going back and rereading it, and it's like, oh, this is actually really cool. I mean, I did that years ago. You know, I went back and reread some of it, and I was like, oh man, I totally understand now.
Yeah.
But like, but back then, yeah, still not enough into the weird.
Yeah. But you also had a reference that someone had to show me. Well, one that I kind of noticed but didn't notice. The Liefeld's feet only. I will never get tired of them making fun of Rob Liefeld. Ever. Ever.
Fantastic.
I've actually heard quite a few stories from Rob Liefeld. I'm not going to say who they are because I don't want people to like get pissy about it, but it was some Disney guys in the 90s, and Liefeld, even like back in like 94, 95 was...
Yeah, but like they had him in the... I didn't notice it the first time I watched the original movie, but he says, hey, Liefeld, whatever. I thought they were just saying stuff. Though he's actually at the fucking bar in the beginning of the first movie for like 2 seconds.
Oh my God, yeah. Yeah, you're right.
And then they, oh man. And then in the second movie, when Domino is describing her powers to Logan, or to Deadpool, she goes, that power sounds like it was made up by some guy who can't draw feet. Then they just put Liefeld's feet only on there. And then there was a door before that. How I don't know if this is confirmed or not, but it said Copperheads.
Copperheads.
I guess Copperhead is a villain that debuted in a Deadpool comic.
Yeah.
Didn't know that. But yeah, this trailer looks... This movie's going to be nuts.
It's going to be crazy. In a great way.
It is.
I love the fact that he just walks up to him and goes, hey, Peaches.
No, Peanut. So we need to talk. Oh.
And then he's like,
whiskey with the claws.
No thanks, lady.
Okay. That's common in Wolverines over 40. But I need to. This is another thing that I need to tell people that they kind of, to a degree, just need to shut the fuck up and only bitch about a creative decision when you actually understand what the fuck it is. When this movie was announced, so many people went, "This ruins Logan. That movie's not good anymore." That logic will never fucking make sense. Ever. Your DVD does not change. Your brain is the one making that decision, and you're the one making that not as good because you like to hate things. B, it didn't have to ruin the ending of Logan because A, they never said the fucking movie takes place after Logan, or that it was the same fucking Logan. It could have taken place 30 years before the current movie and it wouldn't have affected it. And now they show in the trailer that it's a different fucking Logan.
Here's the thing, too. You know, the Fox X-Men films, the continuity was, you know, it's there if you feel like it. You know, it's like, you know, very much the Saturday morning cartoon logic. I'm like, I guess it's the same, you know, Professor Xavier, but younger, but it also is.
Aged like 60 years and 20 years, it's fine.
Yeah, I'm like, you know, it's
fine.
Whatever, guys, it's a comic book movie. Well, you know, it's good.
Or how, like, you know, I can get out of the chair if I want to in X-Men Origins, and I can walk when I want. And then in First Class, you got shot in the spine and you're completely paralyzed. Oh, wait. Oops. But yeah, that
which was one of the most affecting scenes in First Class.
Oh,
yeah,
that whole thing going together, the submarines being lifted, them pushing the freaking coin through Shaw's head.
Oh my god!
All of that was insane.
Yeah,
it was nuts.
There are definitely some moments in those X-Men movies that I think are just absolute classic moments.
Oh, there are. They're filled with them. That's the problem. They're moments.
Right.
Even in the bad ones, they have really great moments. But like maybe the best lines that Storm ever has in a movie is in Last Stand, when she's bitching out Rogue for wanting the cure.
True.
Poor Halle Berry and just that whole
poor
thing.
Halle Berry.
She got tricked into being in a movie. Legitimately, they rewrote the script after she signed. They gave her a bum script.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, which honestly, like, I'm not sure if that shit's illegal now, but like, honestly, she probably should have sued.
She should have.
I
agree.
She should have, but like, at the amount of times we're hear from actors now where they sign on the movies and then the movie that they actually do is nothing what they were pitched.
Well, because I feel like that's being deceptive, because I'm like, you could do other projects, but I guess everyone's afraid of getting blacklisted. But I'm like,
anyway, so I was kind of skeptical about this film, even more so after they announced that it was going to be a jukebox musical. I've kind of turned around on Joker after I saw the trailer. I think it might work out depending on how they do it. I still don't know why it needed to be a musical, but we'll see.
I actually kind of am the opposite. Like,
oh, really?
No, as in, at first I did not even want this movie at all.
Oh, I didn't either. Absolutely not.
but then when they said, "Oh, it's a musical," that's when my interest started to rise.
Okay.
The $200 million budget thing, that raised an eyebrow, but then supposedly knowing that all or at least most of the songs would be covers kind of explains it. Kind of, but not really.
Mm-hmm.
Then we see the trailer, and the trailer looks good. I am going to see this movie.
I still will say, and I know I believe I said this to you just off on a review or something. I'm cool with it being a jukebox musical a little bit more now. But the more I'm thinking about the fact that you have Lady Gaga in this movie and she's not making music for it? What are we doing?
And that's the thing. I'm not convinced that she hasn't at least written a song or two that they just haven't announced yet.
I hope so, because if this whole movie goes through and she didn't make a song, it was kind of stupid. Not even kind of, just is stupid. Like, wasn't it Top Gun Maverick she made a song for?
Yep.
A movie she wasn't in. Didn't need to have any presence in whatsoever. And I can tell you right now, I wouldn't have thought of Lady Gaga when I was thinking of Top Gun Maverick to make a song for, but it was great. As a person who needs to sing as Harley Quinn, Lady Gaga's up there. Because nothing against her, she looks like she might, on certain ways, slit your throat out and then sleep next to the dead body.
Yeah.
Bree, did you turn around at all because of the trailer?
I was actually kind of like, I was one of the ones, I mean, I honestly, like, and I'm like so bad at this, I haven't watched the original Joker because I'm lazy and I haven't had time, but I've seen like parts of it. But the fact that they were going in such a like different direction, I was like, you know what? I kind of see the vision here. Let me just, you know, be on the little bit more optimistic side. And then I actually saw it. I'm like, I'm glad, you know, that my good vibes were kind of like confirmed. And honestly, one of my favorite shots of the trailer, it's like so brilliant. And anyone who's clowning on it, honestly, fuck you. Is when Arthur kind of like lowers down, and then there's just the little like red lipstick on the thing.
Good shot. It makes me wonder how many takes it took to get that shot.
That shit's hard, like to coordinate.
Yeah,
and that shit stains.
You had to be right where the mark was.
And also the mark had to be the appropriate size of his mouth. People don't think about the logistics of just how batshit that shot actually is. Unless that was partially like CG corrected. If that was honestly them writing it in and then dropping, that's really good.
I think part of it did it for real, but also I could see them, they have a marker and then they just use like a clean plate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but Keanu, any thoughts on Joker 2?
Joker Volet 2. I think I'm gonna see it.
Yeah.
At first, I wasn't gonna see it, and now I'm like, okay, maybe I'll see this. You know, yeah. I went to go see the first one in theaters. I'm not a huge fan, to be honest. I thought it was good, but it wasn't like earth shattering or anything like that. And I'm like, you know, I don't know that this is the character that we should maybe be. I don't want to say glorifying, but
that was the point, though. That is what everyone
got
is kind
out
of the movie
point.
when they weren't supposed to.
No, I agree. I agree.
That is when you meet someone glorifying it, you're like, you need to talk to someone. The point of this is to show just how screwed up an individual can get if their life goes down a toilet.
No, that's true. That's true.
That's like when you meet someone who's cheering for Light in Death Note, run away.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I mean, you know, I just think that I think it was well done. It was certainly well made, and certainly the performances were excellent. So, I mean, I didn't like hate the movie or anything, but I wasn't like a huge fan of it also. So I was kind of like in the middle. And then I saw this trailer and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll give this one a shot. I'll watch it.
It's just got to make me think.
It's interesting.
If they make a third movie, are they going to make it a rom-com? Like they have to switch up styles every movie?
Right.
They should.
I don't know what would be kind of sick, actually, and I could see Joaquin Phoenix doing it, is if they made the third movie a black and white silent film.
God.
Oh, yeah.
What if they made it like a film noir?
That's what I was thinking.
Could be.
I could see that.
Oh, and they do a time skip, and then at the end they have the world's greatest detective. And then the circle is complete.
I know what my favorite thing about that entire movie was after the first Joker came out,
Mhm.
I had people that were actually dumb enough to go, they need to make that be the Joker for Ben Affleck.
Nope.
Oh
No,
God, no.
He would
no,
floss
God.
his fucking
No.
teeth with him.
Yes.
He's
Flosses teeth.
a literal stick. The Joker's not exactly a musclehead, but what are we doing? People.
How would he even
Good
fight Ben Affleck? That
He
that
wouldn't.
would be
He
over
would
in
punch
like
him and break his
a
own arm.
millisecond. Yeah.
He has an actual disease where he gets laughing fits and can't breathe.
Do you even have Batman in this? Do you even have a version
this
of Batman
movie,
in this?
Arthur is 30 years older than Bruce.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
But I mean, they showed the
the thing.
origin.
Yeah, I get that. That's what made even less sense. So
Yeah.
then Arthur would have to be like 80 in Ben
I'm so
Affleck's version.
confused.
Or
Yeah, that
or
confused the hell out of me.
the other theory would be
That he starts a new person, and I just every time it goes down that rabbit hole, I just want to puke.
yeah. See, that's why the whole theory just doesn't work at all.
He inspires all these people because he was such a. That's not the point to take from film. All right. I actually forgot to watch this trailer in preparation for this. So you all are going to have to let me know what you thought. Did you like the Transformers 1 trailer?
No. It's not for me.
I didn't hate it. I think the problem that a lot of people have with this trailer, and it is just a trailer, keep that in mind.
Sure.
It's not being sold as a Transformers movie, it's being sold as just a regular animated film.
Yeah. It's being sold as an animated comedy.
Yeah. And it's kind of, I don't get why this, like, they brought back the feel to make it a hardcore Transformers film, being old school Gen 1s. They aren't even Megatron and Optimus Prime yet. And they're on Cybertron. But then they're not going to make it the most hardcore Transformers movie ever.
Nope.
I don't
And this
understand
is
that
the thing. It's just what's so frustrating with the Paramount era, like Transformer movies. It just, I mean, I saw like the newer cartoon. It's cute. It's definitely like aimed for like younger kids.
Are you talking about Earth Spark?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what, stuff like that is fine or whatever, and then you get like stuff like, ooh, this is for like the G1 babies. You have like Bumblebee, and then you have Rise of Beasts.
Rise of the Beasts.
Yeah,
I liked those two movies. I liked
the movies they made were good.
Yeah,
those were the first two good Transformers movies since the first live action film.
Yeah, I don't know like what it is. Like I guess the feeling is it's not even like unsettling. Like I'm like describing this really bad, but I just kind of get the feeling that there isn't a firm direction going on. It just and I haven't fully watched the trailer either. It's just this current era Transformers to me just seems confused. I mean, don't get me wrong, most of the baby movies are crap.
I was just about to say they rebooted themselves they like soft rebooted every time they made a new one.
Right.
They did.
Right, but I feel like they still had like a clear identity. I am not sure if Transformers knows what it wants to be.
That's a very fair point. Like this franchise kind of just feels like it's existing just for the sake of being a franchise.
Yeah, and they're trying to hark back and stuff.
And I feel like that's just not a Transformers exclusive problem, but that's basically been Paramount's like whole problem for like the last decade.
Yeah.
Paramount is trying to get their properties and get them the way that they want to make them, and they're gonna do what they're gonna do. We just have to go with it. Like I said, the movies, at least to a degree, they're trying to go period by period. I didn't get the going from Bumblebee to another joint film. I thought they could have like introduced a little more, and then not quite exactly the Avengers way, but like they could have done a little bit more incrementals. But well, like I said, I vastly like them more than the other ones because it's not just random plot. Like just those. I've watched all of them, and they're so bad. My God, they have no connective tissue. But anyways, yeah, not much to say on that. I didn't watch it yet. Anybody want to talk about Fallout?
I unfortunately haven't got around to it yet, but
I still have to. The only thing, like, my knowledge is that my nephew's like Boy Scout master is in it for like the 4 episodes.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
I was talking. Oh, sorry, Bree. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. He plays Davy. I think that's the character's name.
Nice.
I was talking with Red today about that because she's a huge Fallout fan, and we were both saying that like there are good elements and there are also things where we kind of both feel like it could be better. And one of the issues is that they're introducing maybe too much all at once. Because it feels like I only watched the pilot episode. I didn't watch anything beyond the premiere episode of the show. And there are definitely some good action sequences and some really good performances across the board. But like when they switch from one particular set of characters to another one, it's so jarring. It took me out of the episode completely. Like I was like, where are we even now? But I because I was so invested in like the first part of the story that I was like, okay, I want to see what happens with these characters, and then they switch over to a completely different set of characters, and it's like it's jarring. And also just the feel of the show just feels a little bit like maybe a little passionless in a way. Like I don't know, it's strange. I don't know if I'm going to actually watch the full show. For me, it might not be for me.
No, I get what you're saying. Like visually, I'm like, it's clearly Fallout, but it's also like,
yeah.
Oh, okay, sure, fine. I mean, it looks good enough. And then
what's with the cousin loving? What's that about?
I don't know. And then
what was that?
I feel like
Did it take place in Montana?
It's weird. It's so weird.
And then I feel like the other problem is like yet again, binge watching unless it's like an older show is kind of a fucking mistake because I'm like,
yeah.
After like the first day dropped, like I haven't heard like shit about this show at all.
Yeah. I don't think it's for me. I don't think I'm going to continue watching it.
All right. Before we get to the very ending thing, Bree brought up something that I don't know a ton about, but yet we're gonna, hey, reset the clock. Mappa did something stupid. What? Go ahead.
All right, so I honestly wasn't fully like aware of this like in context until like last week. Like I had heard of it, but then I was like, oh yeah. So if you don't know, Mappa is a relatively newer studio, and one of their first really big mainstream like hits was Yuri on Ice. So Yuri, like really popular, huge fan base, so you think the next logical step would be either a sequel series or a movie. So 2017 happens like, hey guys, we're doing a movie. Everyone's like, yay! And then years pass, and years pass.
And they start taking other people's projects that aren't their studios.
And then Map was like, oh, don't worry, guys. Movie's still totally coming. And Yuri on Ice fans were like, okay, when? Mappa, it's coming. We promise, guys. Okay. And then, so flash forward to the year of our Lord, 2024. And, like, in the most unceremonious way, and I'm pretty sure it was also on the same day as the Tokyo Pride Parade or whatever.
Gosh.
They
Good
canceled.
Lord.
They canceled the Yuri on Ice movie, like, officially, even though, like, everyone knew it was dead, but everyone was just dragging them on for years and years. But it's like, honestly, it's kind of like the death of, like, Mappa potentially doing any other, like, original properties, and the whole situation just kind of sucks for people who really found joy in that series, and for people who supported Mappa years and years, and then they just kind of throw one of their best used and most beloved properties in, like, the garbage.
I feel terrible for everyone who was involved in that production.
Right. Such a talented studio ran by idiots. And industry veterans that are idiots. Mappa used to be the place to go because they wanted to get away from the grind and all the stupidity of a studio, and then they became the worst at everything they were getting away from.
Isn't there like a new studio that formed to get away from Mappa's grind?
It was the guy. It was one of the key animators on.
Yes. You mean Park Studio, right?
Yeah. It was two former heads of like two giant. Like one was Jujutsu Kaisen and something else.
Yeah. Park directed Jujutsu Kaisen, and I think his new studio's first show is Ninja Kamui, which is currently
there was
airing on Adult
another
Swim.
guy from a huge series that joined and started it with him. I can't remember what series he did though. There was two guys one that worked on Jujutsu, and then one was on another giant one that started one to get away from that. But anyway, yeah. Mappa, get your shit together. You're so talented.
Yeah.
Imagine what would have happened if they were allowed to actually fully animate the rest of that last season of Jujutsu Kaisen. They said it was like 80% complete. And it still is one of the most mind-blowing things I've ever seen animated. Yeah. All right.
I want to say one thing about Mappa, which is that, you know how I was like, wait a minute, this show looks different. Remember when I was watching Attack on Titan and I was like, oh, Mappa's stuff looks different? Yeah. I ended up really enjoying what they did, though. I mean, it is different.
Where it cut off.
Yeah, it is different from Wit, but like at the same time, it was still good. And also they animated one of my favorite sequences in all of that final season, which is the sequence with the Barricade song.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that was
where they're just killing all the Titans and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I will admit, like, their 3D ODM gear, like, I still feel like Wit had better 3D.
Oh yeah,
I think so too.
There's no argument there.
Definitely.
No, yeah, but like overall, like, there's CG. I know people are hating on it. I'm like, and then they're like, oh, CG, you know, Armor Titan. I'm like, do you guys like remember what the Armor Titan? Yeah, not the CG, but even like 2D like Armored Titan, like in seasons 2 and 3, like. Do you guys even remember how off model he was? That not even the Blu-ray they could fucking fix that.
Yeah.
No, when the show took a drastically darker turn into the more war-torn part of it, it actually kind of was a good move that the animation style changed.
Yeah, I can see that
because it felt more dirty.
It did,
and it brought Mappa animated one of my favorite. Like just five frame scenes from anything when all of it's going down and they're figuring out who's a traitor, whatever, between the Jaegerists, and freaking Armin is down on his knees and he looks up and he just sees Yelena. She has a fucking face where her eyes are all dark out like
that translated like so perfectly from the manga. It's actually kind of creepier than the manga.
And the best part, my buddy who was like catching up with the show with me, and he goes, correct me if I'm wrong, is that Armin looking up at Armin? Who is... Because he had no idea who Yelena was, because he saw the thing on Twitter, and he was only in like season 2.
I could see that.
Yeah, that was... I remember, that was like a meme for like a couple of weeks.
Oh, I use it whenever I can. That face they had her do. That is almost on the level of... in JoJo's Part 3, when when do you remember the girl that had the outlet that could magnetize people? Like if they touch the outlet, all the parts magnetize. Mariah.
Oh yeah, Mariah. Yeah.
That one scene where all the bolts and shit are coming out of her bra and her boobs look like they're getting faster, and then old man Joseph's face is like it does that weird fucking like boinging eye animation. I'll send it in the group thing after we're done. It's one of the best things ever.
Here's one of my favorite like anime like faces. This is from the original Bleach anime that aired until like 2012 of Ginjo's face, and it's like Period has like ridiculous like faces sometimes. Like if you remember Book 2 Legend of Korra, where Audrey Plaza's character is just like that. Oh, Studio Poirot. Anyway.
Yeah.
They got better. But still, like, Studio...
Yeah.
Yep.
Studio Poirot.
It takes some time.
It does at that.
Yeah, no, but it's like, just the face is just, like, so unsettling.
That's funny. That's hilarious. Nothing's more unsettling than that baby from the Attack on Titan live action, though.
No, oh god.
Jeez Louise.
All right, so I'm going. Mike, did you put this in the last subject?
Yeah, that was me.
Okay.
So, okay, little context. So last weekend, Taylor Swift put out a new album, a double album. You know, critically, it's probably got like mixed reviews, but there's this one outlet. I think it was like Paste magazine or something.
Was it Paste or Pitchfork?
I think it was Paste.
Both of those sound great.
So Paste gave the album like a kind of, I think it was like a 7 out of 10 or something.
Okay.
But because the Swifties are, you know, insane.
Yeah.
The byline was removed to protect the writer. Guys,
oh my.
Guys, this behavior is this is unacceptable. Just straight up.
White people just overreacting? Mike, you've been on animation Twitter. I'm like, you should know this. This is standard form.
You're not wrong, but that doesn't make it any less just
It's times like this where like I told you, Mike, we've talked about the URL Death Note. I just want it. I want it so bad. This reminds me of, well, not exactly like the most batshit thing that I've seen in recent memory with fans just not being happy. There was a character in Ruby, Crow Bronwyn, who has been characterized as a straight man whore. Never having an inkling of liking a man whatsoever. And he was a former alcoholic that like lost most of his teammates and just has a terrible life. Then finally, he gets sober and gets like his first genuine friend ever, this guy named Clover. And they start to like hang out and like he starts to realize, and this guy's showing him that like, you know, you can actually be a good person now that you're sobered up. You're actually a great dude. You can do good things. You don't have to always worry about the past and whatever. And everyone was convinced that, you know, just because it's two males talking and they're getting along, that he's gay. Because, you know, this is what it is. Even though in the show, after Clover is murdered, it is shown that another person of the team he was on is very upset, who is a woman, and they openly say that, I know you two were close. This has to hurt you. Openly showing that he was heterosexual. Not a problem with that. That is not what I'm getting at here. There is a scene where they're outside in a tundra and Crow gets framed for Clover's murder when a villain steals his sword and stabs Clover through the chest with it, and he dies. People were color correcting the sky in the background to make it look closer to a gay pride flag to send it to Rooster Teeth to show that they were purposely murdering a gay couple. A canon confirmed gay couple in their opinion.
Oh.
God. Oh.
Neither character, not a single line ever showing that they even liked the same gender ever once. And then they're like, no, that's the actual frame. That's what it looks like. And then the actual frame still shown directly next to it, looking fucking nothing like the other one.
See, shit like that's like infuriating, I guess, to me personally. Like, I get wanting more queer rep in animation. I mean, that's something that I generally want. But I'm like, when you're like threatening like that and just like putting your own like fan in ideas, I'm like, you make that shit like harder to like actually fucking happen.
Absolutely. You can like things that just like them. Like,
no, you can still ship them, but I'm like, you're forcing it, like, you know, a studio to like, you know, make your things canon. And it's not just with queer couples. I mean, this is like not a new argument. Like, people have been trying to force, you know, it to my way. I'm like, hey, if you don't like how it goes, I'm like, fan fiction exists, go nuts. I'm like, you can write whatever you want, you can make your own continuity. I'm like, that doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't have to match the main continuity of the show. Like, that's fine. No one's saying you can't, you know, make, you know, your men love men ships. Like, no one is saying that. But you can't fucking harass people and, like, you know, start shit over something that obviously was not the intent.
Yeah, I just can't. Hey, yeah, the internet was the worst thing to ever happen. And this is me talking as a person who's sitting here with 4 people that I've never met in person, only because of the internet that I've met them, talking to record this to put on YouTube that is only here because of the internet. I just...
I mean, to be fair, I think humanity, a mistake was, in general, was a mistake.
No, and none of this energy can be put towards, you know, hating actual scumbags. And not saying you should send death threats to people, but maybe send them towards people that, like, actually don't deserve
or
the shitty lives they live.
You know, if you don't want to do, like, a written threat for legal reasons, just try to curse them. Like, just an old-fashioned hex, just, you know, make your little pentagram, you know, just do it the old-fashioned way.
Like, I'm not saying that I would be upset if someone sent something egregiously hateful towards Andrew Tate, but, you know, maybe we could spend our time degrading a douchebag. Maybe your alpha male that has been trafficking young women in other countries. Maybe you could fucking hate that guy.
Yeah, who's
not losing your shit over Taylor Swift.
You know, the one thing is funny. I'm like, is Andrew Tate is like, he's like, fellas, is it gay to like women?
What?
My favorite. This is such an out of context. It comes up every now and then. It's NCIS something. It's the one that has Ice-T in it. I can't remember which one of them it is.
Oh, I think it's Law and
Order.
That's Law and Order.
SVU.
That one.
SVU?
There's one scene where they're interrogating this guy, and he goes, "I'm not gay. I have relationships with women and sex with men. Guess what, dog? That means you're gay." I laugh my ass off every time it shows up on a dick or something. Every time.
Oh, man. That's crazy.
And it's just, I don't... And one last one. I have to say, my favorite version of any of those jokes. Are any of you guys a fan of Ron White?
I would, well, very casually, yes.
I'll end the note on a slight funny. So one of my favorite jokes
I think he's funny
on all times of his is his cousin Ray, or it's his cousin or his brother Ray, is homophobic, and he's like, I don't think there's anything worse or more useless than you can be is afraid of gay people. He's like, just the next time you have a thought, just let it go. And then he's like, you want to know what? Everybody's a little gay. He's like, I ain't gay. He's like, Yeah, you are, and I can prove it. Fine, prove it. Okay.
Oh God.
What, do you watch porn? He's like, yeah, I love porn. You know that. Okay, cool. Will you only watch 2 women making love? He's like, no, I'll watch a man and a woman making love. He's like, cool. Do you like the man to have a half flaccid penis? He goes, no, I love big throbbing I did not know that about myself.
Hilarious.
Or the other one, I take that back. One last one. Pete Holmes, one of the most just stand-up all comedians of all time, in my opinion, was talking about how anyone who masturbates cannot hate a gay person. Because masturbation is the gayest thing on the planet. And he's like, now think about it, because it's worse than you think. Not only are you giving a hand job to a man, you're receiving a hand job from a man. It's Inception levels. But anyway, so I've been meaning to talk about this for a while, but I never brought it up. If anyone watches this and honest to God wants to submit a question or a topic you'd like talked about, it's right there. I actually have a Gmail set up and I have for a while, but I forgot to show it. Anyone, if there actually gets stuff sent, I will do a mailbag segment at the end of this if something comes in. We regularly get like maybe 20 viewers. So if any of you want to send something in, anyone watching, that's the Gmail.
Yeah. Look, if you send the question in, Brock will sing the male song from Blues Clues.
I will. I promise you now. I will.
God.
I will. She laughs as if I won't do it.
No, I'm laughing because you will do it.
Oh, I know. And like, oh, absolutely. I'm a child of the 90s. Steve was my hero, especially when I got to meet him. And for his pictures that you could get signed, he had himself photoshopped in a club with Tupac at a table for one of his signature pictures. And he had to put a sticky note on it going, please know this is photoshopped and it isn't real, because it's a really good Photoshop. But anyway, Keanu, where can everybody find you?
Oh, well, you can find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/neoplasmic. I just uploaded the first episode of The Meltdown, which is my interview show. Did it with my best friend Red, some bitch named Red, also on Twitch. And also you can find me on Instagram and Threads at neoplasmic81 and on Twitter at neoplasmic24.
Nice. Bree, where can everybody find you?
If you want to find me, which I don't know, you might be risking your life there. I'm at Crazy Lemur on Twitter. Most everywhere else, it's either some version of that or Lemur's Rule. And I technically have a YouTube channel, but I don't really use it. I'm on Discord if you ever want to find me there too.
There we go. Mike?
You guys can find me in all the various social media sites at Captain K42. You can check out my quick thoughts on letterboxd.com/CoachK42. And you can follow Renegade Pop Culture on Facebook and that place at Ren Pop Culture. You can also find us on YouTube, on Podchaser. Consider supporting our Patreon at patreon.com/Renegade Pop Culture. Listen to all of our podcasts on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen. And last but not least, everything can be found at renegadepopculture.com. You can escape, so do we.
Absolutely. You can find me everywhere at Organoid Zero, mainly on Twitch and YouTube. Twitch, I'll be finally getting back to. Like I said, I was in a funk for a while, and this Friday, I know I have 2 games started that I haven't finished, but a relatively shorter game that I've been looking quite forward to, Stellar Blade, is coming out this Friday, so I will be streaming that. So that'll be me starting back up again. And if you want to get my Instagram, I'm actually getting more into cosplaying, so
Sweet.
all of that will be done there. I have 2 actively in the works that I'm trying to finish before November, so we'll see how that goes. All right, everyone. Until next time, we will see you all later.
Bye.